Button Press presents The Hot Shot, Book 3 in the Smash Point Social Series, written and read for you by Cynthia Gunderson. Copyright 2026, Button Press. Prologue. You can learn a lot about someone when you watch them wait. Some people pace, some scroll, some hover as if they might bolt if the wrong person looks at them. The kid by the front desk does none of that. He stands perfectly still, small, zipped into a hoodie that's a size too big, hands buried deep, just watching the courts. His dad, on the other hand, is the opposite of still. He shifts his weight from one boot to the other, his eyes roaming back to the exit as he blows out what looks like an annoyed breath. He's in a navy blue t-shirt with suspenders holding up black turnout pants with hazard strips around the ankles. Firefighter. I want to look outside for his truck since I can't see anything through the coated front windows. Why is it that at 27, my eyes still light up when I see an emergency vehicle? Probably the pancake breakfasts, or the slip-and-slide the firefighters always did for our neighborhood on the 4th of July. I slow my jog and walk up to him. Hi there, I'm Rachel. I run our juniors program. I offer my hand, and as he steps forward to take it, I realize how tall he is. It's not often I have to crane my neck to look at a man's face. I'm 5'10", so he must be at least 6'3", maybe 6'4". His hand engulfs mine, warm and calloused. He squeezes, but not too much, gives one firm shake, then lets me go slowly, like he's releasing a fish back into water. As if realizing the timing is off, he pulls his hand back and loops his thumb in the pocket of his pants. Jake, he says, then nods toward the kid who still hasn't moved an inch. This is Colton. Colton looks over at the sound of his name, then locks back in on the point being played on court 4. Jake clears his throat. We moved up here at the beginning of the year. He used to play a lot of pickleball down south. Oh yeah? Where were you before? Jake has a nice jaw. A nice everything, actually. There's a little bit of gray in the scruff on his face, and he has full lips, which I'm definitely not distracted by when he wets them and says, Castle Rock. I yank my eyes back to his and force them to stay put. This is a dad, a parent of a child who's interested in my junior program. Still, warmth floods through me at the realization of what just happened in my body. Since my breakup a couple of years ago, it's rare that I notice a man, let alone feel a flutter of interest. Usually, I hear a clang of warning bells the second I see a nice set of arms. Maybe it's the fireman gear or the obvious disinterest, but Jake isn't making my hackles rise. Nice, I say. Did you have a club there? Jake shakes his head. Just played through the city. They had a Saturday youth rec league. My eyes light up. No way, that's amazing. I've been wanting to try an outdoor league like that here, but there aren't many courts available for booking on the weekends. Colton turns around and looks up at me. Outdoors is okay, but the courts here are way nicer, and there isn't any wind. I laugh. He's right about that. I step closer to him and crouch a little to talk to him at his level. What are you hoping for? Classes or more league play? He considers this. I want to get really good, so probably both. My smile widens. Well, then I think you're in the right place. We have workshops and open plays, plus leagues that start up every few months. Colton's eyes jump to his dad's. He doesn't ask in words, but the pleading look on his face is obvious enough. Jake nods. What does it look like, schedule-wise? I rise from my crouch. Our junior workshops run in 5-week sessions, same day, same time each week. It helps the kids build on skills and get comfortable with the group. His jaw twitches. 5 weeks? Do you pay per workshop? Just the ones you can attend? I shake my head. No, we run it as a sequence of classes, so it's important the kids attend each one if possible. We found consistency is the key to improvement. His brow furrows, and I'm not sure if he's thinking or if he doesn't like my answer. Before it can get awkward, I go on. The sessions are only 5 weeks, so people can hopefully commit when they don't have other sports or extracurricular demands. Some of our kids come in mostly over the summer, some during the school year when their families aren't traveling. It's a great group. We usually have 8 to 12 kids signed up for each session. Are the kids good? Colton asks. I nod. Yep. We have some beginners too, though, so there's a spot for everyone. I'm not a beginner, he says, and his dad gives him a look. I mean, I've had a lot of experience. I grin. Hey, You can own your skill. If you get in there and crush everyone, we'll make sure we move you up. Colton's mouth and nose twitch, but it's his eyes that give away how he feels about this information. They get wide and shiny, like he just spotted a $5 bill in the parking lot. Okay. As he turns back to watch the game, his dad motions for me to take a few steps away from his son. Jake lowers his voice. The thing is, he exhales through his nose. My schedule is not consistent. Right. Firefighter. 2 days on, 4 days off. He continues. Days change every week. I nod. Growing up, my next-door neighbor was a firefighter. I remember being surprised when I saw him working in the yard in the middle of the week when my dad only ever got home at dinner time. Do you have someone who could bring him on the days you're on shift? I ask. Partner, family, neighbor? No. He purses his lips. It's just us. Colton's sneaker scuffs against the floor as he moves a half step closer to his dad. My curiosity sparks, but I resist the urge to ask what happened to Colton's mom. If they just moved here, it isn't a surprise that they don't have a great network yet. Guys are notoriously bad at making friends unless they're forced to. Plus, if he's a single dad, he's probably maxed out, and I internally shake my head. What am I doing? I don't need to get an entire life history to enroll this kid in juniors, but the drop of Colton's shoulders and the furrow in Jake's brow leave a hollowed-out pit in my gut. I clear my throat. Got it. Well, we can be flexible within reason. If he misses a week, we'll catch him up, but you'll have to pay for the whole session. I glance at the front desk. Mark and Elena, the owners of Smash Point, aren't there. Not that it would help. They're kind people, but we've had enough issues here with people trying to get reimbursed for missed classes that they eventually had to draw a hard line. Jake runs a hand over the stubble on his jaw. Let me think on it. I don't want to sign him up for something I can't follow through on. But Dad... Colton looks up and stops when he sees his dad's face. Totally understand, I say, even though a part of me wants to start rearranging the entire program to make it work. We've got sessions starting all the time, so if this one doesn't line up, maybe the next will. I turn my attention to Colton. Even if it's not perfect, I'm sure you'll find a way to practice. You seem motivated. It's great to see. Most kids get dragged in here by their parents, not the other way around. Jake's mouth tightens again. We'll figure it out. He reaches for his son, and seeing Jake's large fingers wrap around Colton's tiny hand makes something inside of me wobble. The whole thing leaves me uneasy. Were they okay? Had either of them smiled once during that entire interaction? They head for the door, and right before they push out, Colton glances back. I lift a hand. See you soon? He gives a small nod, and there, right there, the tiniest curve of his lips. My heart swells, and it takes me a second to remember what I was doing before I ran up to the front. Right, I was in the middle of a game with my friends. I jog back to the courts, all eyes on me before I even reach the gate. What? I give Brooke a wary look. She smirks. How was that conversation? Ah, so they'd all noticed Jake's physique, even from this distance. Seriously? I grab my paddle, rolling my shoulders. He's just a dad looking for a program for his kid. What about something for him? Brooke shoots back. He's probably tired after a long day. Alicia snorts. I ignore them both, but it isn't easy. I feel unsettled. My brain's still stuck on whatever haunted Jake's eyes. Get your butt on the court, partner. I point my paddle at Brooke. I'm ready to play. We step onto the court, the noise snapping me back into reality. Balls popping, sneakers squeaking, Justin saying something to Drew that makes him laugh. Normal. Totally normal. I set my feet and serve, overshooting the baseline by half a foot. Chapter 1. 3 weeks later. Late May. Ready? Justin calls, bouncing on the balls of his feet like he's about to sprint a marathon instead of serve. It's 4 o'clock at Smash Point, my favorite time at the club. It's quiet, with only a few courts in use, the eye of the storm between the morning and evening rush. It won't last long. Junior starts at 5, and then it will be an onslaught of players until past 10. It's why Justin, Carrie, and I always try to find a fourth and play for an hour now, before we're all pulled 100 different directions with coaching and management. I hold my paddle out and get into ready position. The overhead lights hum, the soles of my shoes gripping the court surface. I nod at Justin, and he thwacks the ball with his paddle, sending it over the net. I shuffle and send it back deep. Nice, Carrie says as I hustle to the kitchen line. Girls against guys. Justin asked TJ to play with us today. He's one of the newer instructors here, probably barely 19, and springier than a rubber ball. Justin drops it, and I hit a low backhand dink down the line. TJ bends like Elastigirl to somehow scoop it back over the net. It pops just enough. I send a roll down the middle before he can shift back over. Justin, where were you? TJ throws up his hands. I covered. Justin points at his feet, well over the middle line. Carrie taps my paddle. Nice. Get them snarking. I laugh. Middle's always the answer. We settle into a rhythm, trading shots back and forth. This is my favorite part about playing. The way the rest of the world fades and everything narrows to the geometry of the court, the angle of my paddle face, the arc of the ball, the lines of the court, and pattern combinations each time one of us connects with the sphere of yellow plastic. Today, the mental break feels more necessary than usual. The team for the app I do product management for, Strive Lab, is making changes fast. The app started out as another workout and wellness option, but thanks in part to me, it became something far more useful. We don't just hand people workouts, we adjust them in real time. Miss a day, and your plans get reshuffled. Sleep like garbage, the schedule backs off. Hit a streak, it pushes. It's dynamic and automated, basing plans on users' smartwatches and haptic rings, which turns out to be exactly what people need to be more consistent with their workout goals. I used to sit on the product development side of that. Roadmaps, features, debating whether notifications should be encouraging or the teensiest bit judgmental. My whole job was to figure out how to make people care enough to come back. Now, my face is a reason they're coming back. Last month, our head of programming and VP of product remembered I'm a certified pickleball instructor and asked me to create a series of 3 short classes with stretching and footwork practice for pickleball players. We put them out at the beginning of May, and they've gone mini viral on the app. When I heard they eclipsed the Britney Spears yoga series, I may have choked on my protein shake. We play for a good 30 minutes, and on the last point of our third game, I slide left, catch Justin's drive early, and punch a clean block into the kitchen. I grin at him, and he shakes his head. I didn't think you were ready for that. I'm always ready for that. Carrie laughs, and we take the ball back to our baseline. I hold out the ball and pause. Oh. Carrie follows my gaze. There's a boy sitting on the bench in the aisle in front of the court, perfectly still. Just a second. I toss Carrie the ball and jog off the court, glancing at the front desk. Is anyone here watching the door and checking people in? I push through the gate and see Colton in athletic shorts and sneakers. He's holding a paddle. It looks like a $40 online purchase, but that's expected. Most parents don't want to invest in a good paddle for their kids before knowing it will be a long-term hobby. I drop onto the bench next to him, catching my breath. Hey, bud. When did you get here? He shrugs. I look back at the door, my pulse rushing a little at the thought of seeing his dad somewhere near the entrance. Nothing. Did your dad bring you? I ask. Another shrug, smaller this time. Okay. I nod as if that were a satisfactory answer. Are you doing juniors tonight? It's way early, but maybe his dad found someone to bring him after all. I didn't notice his name on the list when I checked earlier, but there were still a few spots open. Justin, TJ, and Carrie chat on the court, then head our direction. Are we done? I ask. Justin nods. I need to go deal with a couple of things before the round robin starts. Someone signed up without being above a 3.5 duper. I frown. How? Not sure. Oh, he's sure, Carrie says. It's Melody. I laugh. Of course it is. Melody started working at Smash Point a few weeks ago, and I've already heard 5 complaints about how, if you ask nicely, she'll let you book courts out 3 weeks instead of 2. Some people really like her, I say. My parents aren't on that list. Justin grabs his water bottle and bag, then smirks. Wait, don't you need to deal with the lost and found? I try to smack him, but he dodges out of the way. It shouldn't be my job, I call after him, but he only laughs. It's not technically true. 90% of the items left behind at Smash Point are from the kids in juniors. Since I'm the juniors coordinator, it does make sense that I should coordinate pickup and disposal when, inevitably, people don't pick up. But staring at the baskets of sweatshirts, used socks, water bottles, hats, and backpacks makes me nauseous. Growing up, every surface in our house looked like that. Laundry that never made it to drawers, half-finished schoolwork, dirty dishes anywhere but the sink, toys everywhere. I tried to organize it then, and it never stuck. The same futility settles over me at Smash Point any time I look at the hoard in the back room. Carrie waves to Colton on her way to the bathroom. Colton barely acknowledges her since he's locked in on TJ drilling with a ball against the back wall. I nod to the court. Do you want to play? It's not like I have anything planned now that our group dissolved, and the barely half an hour before class isn't long enough to dive into work and accomplish anything. Colton looks up, his eyes wide. With you? I smile. Yeah, we could hit around before class. He's silent for a moment, then finally gives a nod. Getting this kid to talk is like teaching a cat to roll over. Cool. I push up from the bench. Come on. We walk onto the court together. He stays a step behind me, so I cross to the other side of the net. I don't have to tell him to stand at the line of the no volley zone. He's already there. Paddle up. Ready? I wait for his acknowledgement, then tap the ball over the net. Colton reaches out and hits the ball back. Soft, controlled, right into the kitchen. It gives me that feeling you get when you meet a stray dog and it finally decides you're safe enough to come closer. I raise an eyebrow. Usually, when kids get on the court, it takes at least 10 minutes before they've settled and aren't knocking balls into the ceiling or smacking them at the back wall. Colton doesn't rush, doesn't overhit. He stays balanced, paddle out front, eyes tracking. Try opening your paddle face a little more on that, I say after a slightly high bounce. You're catching it a bit late. He nods, adjusts, and the next one is perfect. I back up and let him try hitting it a little further. Again, he does surprisingly well. That's not fair. TJ leans on the fence, flicking his mop of hair out of his eyes. Colton looks over. You're the perfect height, bro. When she drives it, you don't even have to bend to be in your strike zone. Colton looks at the net, then his paddle, then back at TJ, and miracle of miracles. He smiles. Full on, chiclet teeth and all. TJ doesn't seem to notice what a momentous occasion this is. He says, You're cooking, bro, and walks up to the desk. Colton turns back to me and we continue. You've got good hands, I say. He nods. Yeah. I love kids. There's no pretense. If it's true, it's true, and it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about it. Your shots are low. Not always fast, he says, and I laugh. Well, I am being nice. Colton smirks. I know. He misses a ball and it rolls to the back fence. When he runs after it, I'm a little disoriented. Seeing him like this, so full of life and energy, feels like a complete 180 from the last time he stood in the club. I nod to the water fountain. Need a drink? Colton tosses me the ball and leaves the court just as Justin walks up the aisle with his laptop. He slows. Who's the kid? I shrug. He came in with his dad a few weeks ago, but I wasn't sure they were going to come back. He's in juniors tonight? I assume so. His dad must have dropped him off. I still need to check. Colton's back. He hesitates when he sees Justin standing in front of me with his computer. Hey. Justin puts out his fist, and when Colton bumps it, Justin makes his hand explode. With sound effects. I was just telling her I think you're sandbagging. Colton's face drops. What? I smack Justin. Way to scare the kid. It means you're secretly better than you're pretending to be. I'm not pretending, he says. I know. I put my hand up to block Justin from seeing my lips and hiss, Ignore him. Justin laughs. I'm just saying, you're good. Those other kids better watch out. As if he summoned them, the front doors swing open and our first family arrives, the Christuses with their 2 boys. I open the gate and invite Colton back onto the court. Hang out here, okay? I'll be right back. People start filling in for the evening sessions and I greet the kids checking in for the workshop. When it hits 5 o'clock, I jog over to the court and get them started. TJ's helping me tonight, so he starts warm-ups on court 5. It takes him a minute, but Colton jumps in with the Christus boys and starts dinking. While I love attracting new kids, it's nice when we have mostly regulars who know what to expect. Makes my job easy. After 10 minutes or so, we gather the group, go through introductions, and start our drills. We have enough kids that I don't have to hit with them. Instead, I sit between the courts and watch each kid, giving them a little individual coaching. I barely finish adjusting a 10-year-old girl's paddle grip when I hear my name called from the side of the court. I look up to see Elena, one of our owners, and my eyes widen. Jake. Colton's dad. In his full firefighter gear, coat, pants, boots, helmet in his hand. And his face? If he didn't show up for a fire, it looks like he's about to start one. Elena's smile is tight. Rachel, could I steal you for a moment? Something isn't right, that's for damn sure. If Jake didn't set off alarm bells the first time I met him, he's got them blaring now. Uh-huh. I catch TJ's eye and he gives me a thumbs up. Then I see Colton. He's staring at his dad, his face drained of all color, and the pieces start tumbling into place. Colton's showing up early, not seeing his name on the list. That doesn't look like the face of a son who had permission to be here, or a dad who knew where he was, and I didn't double-check the participants. Crap, I think to myself as I jog over to Elena and Jake with what I hope looks like a curious smile and not a constipated grimace. I slow and say, "Hey, what can I—" But I don't get the sentence out because Jake cuts in with a growl. If you wanted to play hero, you could have started by calling his father. Chapter 2. What did you just say to me? It's the only response I can muster, because in no world does it make sense for Jake to be accusing me of anything in this situation. Elena holds up a hand. I think what Mr. Graham was trying to say— No, it's okay. I want to hear it from him. I plant my hands on my hips. Jake Graham. Even though I'm annoyed, the sound of it makes me feel like my favorite song just started playing on the radio. Jake's jaw tenses. I don't think it's good business practice to let minors wander in off the street. No questions asked. I don't think it's good parental practice to let minors wander, period. My hands are shaking, so I clench tighter, my palms sweating on the waistband of my tennis skirt. How dare he stomp in here and pretend I did anything wrong here? If he didn't approve of Colton coming to Smash Point, shouldn't he be grateful that I was here? That I kept him safe until his dad figured out what was going on? Jake takes one step toward me, then seems to remember he's twice my size, and stops. I don't back down, and his nostrils flare. We must look like two horses about to paw the ground and snort. Rachel, Elena says like a choreographer about to introduce jazz hands. Maybe let's all take a breath. I want my son, Jake says through clenched teeth. Then go and get him. Our eyes are locked. I'd honestly forgotten Elena was standing there until she said something. I forgot anyone was here besides the hulking man in fireman gear in front of me. Jake takes one step toward the courts when a little gray blur nearly bowls Elena over. Dad! Colton skids on the polished floor, windmills his arms, then grabs onto his dad's coat to stabilize himself. Jake grunts and pulls Colton against his chest. The man's whole demeanor changes. The anger drains from his face as his hands wrap around Colton's head and back. Jake's shoulders drop, and he blinks his eyes closed as he draws a deep breath. When he opens them, they're glassy. He drops into a crouch and grabs Colton by both arms like he needs proof the kid is solid. Colton's flushed and sweaty. I'm sorry, Dad. I just wanted— You know the rules. You go straight home after school. I know. I told Miss Bell I needed to call because I wanted to come here, but she said it was an emergency, and it wasn't. Jake's voice is rough. How the hell did you get here anyway? Colton's eyes widen. Don't swear, Dad. I purse my lips, trying not to laugh. For a second, Jake looks like he might explode, but then he draws a breath and says, Sorry. How did you get here? I blink. His son called him out when he was already riled up and he apologized? I expected Jake to haul Colton out by his ear. Maybe whisper a heated comment under his breath, especially after the display he just put on in our entryway. Colton shrugs. I walked. You. Jake sucks in a breath, his jaw clenching tight. I don't know where Colton goes to school, but Smash Point is off 2 major roads in a large commercial area. There's no direction I'd be comfortable sending this kid on a walk by himself. I'm motivated, remember? I have to make it happen, Colton says, and my eyes fly wide. That sounded familiar. Did I say that to him when we met the last time? Jake turns his head to me. Right. Crap. I didn't mean it like that. I was talking about the outdoor courts, or he's 12. Jake rises from his crouch. You think this is my fault? He's going to get pissy with me for giving the kid a motivational speech? Dad! Colton tries to interject, but Jake hushes him. I didn't say it was your fault. I snort. It was implied by your tone. Elena slides physically between us, which is bold because she's 5'3" in platform sneakers and smells like eucalyptus. Okay, great passion from everyone. Love the energy. Why don't we chat in the office? Jake steps back and drags a hand through his hair. I've been searching for him for an hour. And I've kept him safe for almost 2. I shoot back. You're welcome, by the way. His mouth opens, shuts, opens again. Colton glances at me, then back to Jake. It's not Rachel's fault. You're on a first-name basis, he says. I just wanted to practice before juniors, Colton continues, ignoring the question. You said maybe this weekend we could work on my serve and then you had an emergency, so I thought if I showed you I could get here myself. And then what? Jake snaps. I've got my whole crew out in the parking lot, Colt. What were you going to do when the class was over? You're going to walk 6 miles home? Your school might be close, but our house is a 15-minute drive up the highway. Colton's cheeks redden. I could ask someone here or call Daryl. You're not calling Daryl. I want to know everything about this Daryl character, the way Jake spits out his name. Also, how did it make sense to Colton that he could ask a perfect stranger here for a ride home from pickleball? I like his gumption, but I'm starting to understand why Jake ran in here guns blazing. And maybe this isn't the first time Colton's come up with a grand scheme and scared the hell out of his dad. Jake drops a heavy hand on his son's shoulder. You don't do this again. Ever. You understand me? Colton's chin jerks back. Okay. No leaving campus, no walking across town alone, no disappearing. I said okay. I was about 5 seconds from calling the police. I thought... Jake's face pinches, and Colton's bravado crumples so quickly it hurts my heart to watch. His lower lip trembles once before he catches it. I said I'm sorry. And there it is. The look I wished I'd seen even once on my father's face. My mom used to come to my room late at night and tell me that my dad was scared. That's why he yelled like that. He just loved us so much that he needed to scream until his face was red and spittle flew from his lips. Jake was scared, obviously. And he was a bit of a jerk to me when he walked in, but now his eyes are soft, and he looks at Colton with understanding, empathy, love. The radio attached to Jake's hip crackles to life, and we all jump. I can't understand what the man on the other end says, but Jake seems to. He lifts the transmitter to his mouth, presses a button, and says, "Copy," then reattaches it. Elena motions to the desk. "We'd be happy to give you a club credit, or—" "No, that's okay." Jake waves her off, his eyes meeting mine for a brief second before he tells Colton to get his paddle and go outside. Colton's eyes light up. "I get to ride in the truck?" Jake nods, and Colton pumps his fist before rushing back to the court. Which is exactly where I should be. I turn on my heel, then freeze when someone touches my arm. "Can you—" I spin, and Jake doesn't finish his sentence. His hand is still holding my elbow, and when he realizes it, he yanks it back. "Can I what?" He looks at the court, the floor, anywhere but my face. I was out of line. You walked in acting like I was running an underground child trafficking ring. He huffs a laugh, then frowns like that reaction surprised him. Jake points at the courts full of kids. Who's to say you aren't? I raise an eyebrow and his mouth twitches. His radio crackles again and he flicks a button to turn it off. Duty calls. I'm initially talking about him, but realize TJ's been flying solo for the last 10 minutes. I give him a small wave, then head toward the gate to the courts. I probably should have accepted his apology. While I don't have kids of my own, the idea of anything happening to one of the kids I coach is enough to make me nauseous. Hey, a little help? TJ's voice slices through the sound of balls thwacking against paddles. I pause, my hand on the gate, and see the kids all frozen, staring at TJ, who's standing with a panicked expression, his hand on a boy's back. What? I start, but TJ yells, Rach! He's choking! Chapter 3. The kids have formed a loose half circle near the kitchen line on court 5, paddles hanging limp at their sides. One boy stands in the middle, both hands clawed at his throat, eyes bulging, knees bent like he might fold in half. Mason Parker, 14, braces, mop of blonde hair, permanently red cheeks from sprinting everywhere he goes. He makes a horrible, soundless cough. No air. I curse under my breath as I run onto the court. I know CPR. I know emergency procedures, theoretically, but my mind goes blank now that there's a choking teenager in real life with 10 other children staring at me and TJ. My pulse slams into my throat. "Someone call 911!" I yell. "Move." Jake's voice lands behind me like a door kicked open. I turn so fast I nearly trip. He's already shrugging off his turnout coat as he strides through the gate, helmet tossed to the bench. Colton is right behind him, eyes huge, frozen at the fence. Jake doesn't waste 1 second. He parts the crowd and crouches to Mason's level. "Hey, buddy, I'm Jake. I'm going to help you." Mason is panicking too hard to respond. Jake's voice is steady as he says, "Rachel, move the other kids back." "Everybody to the fence, now!" My voice cracks into command mode. "Back up! Give space!" The kids scramble. TJ herds them like startled geese. Jake positions Mason forward, one knee braced behind him. 5 hard back blows between the shoulder blades. Nothing. Mason's face reddens further. Jake wraps his arms around the boy from behind, fist above the navel. "I need you to stay with me." He thrusts upward, once, twice. On the third, a pink wad shoots onto the court and skids 2 feet like the world's grossest game point. Mason inhales with a shriek, and noise rushes back in all at once. Gasps, somebody crying, somebody on the next court yelling, "He's breathing!" My knees nearly give out. Jake keeps hold of Mason's shoulders. "Easy, small breaths." His voice is low now, gentle. "You're okay. You're okay." Mason coughs, clutching at his stomach. Spit strings to the floor. He starts sobbing and tries to hide it by burrowing his face in the crook of his arm. I crouch beside him. Hey, you're good." He points weakly at the gum. "My mom told me never to chew gum when I play sports." I laugh so suddenly I hiccup. It's relief and joy and gratitude all wrapped in one. Mason straightens on his own and Jake drops his hands, stepping back. Then the front doors burst open and a woman in dress slacks and a button-up blouse sprints in, her eyes searching the courts. When Mason spots her, he rushes to the gate. I blow out a breath. "A thankless job." Jake nods once, rubbing his left hand like he tweaked it. "You okay?" He nods again. "That was amazing. You just saved his life." How is he acting so nonchalant about this? If I'd done what he just did, I'd want a sash or a tiara or something. Jake blows out a puff of air. "Part of the job." I school my expression. "You're right. Totally normal. Embarrassing that you only saved one life tonight, really." Jake's jaw works, and then, just barely, the corner of his mouth tips up. His eyes brighten, and all of his features seem to soften like butter sitting on the counter. "I saved another one earlier. 2, actually." I scoff. "Well, that's a little more acceptable." Jake's eyes drop, and he smiles to himself as he walks toward the gate. In that moment, I understand why my mom told me never to try drugs, because I'm an addict after just 1 hit. Colton looks up at his dad like he's Superman, and a scene from the old TV series pops into my head. I've seen every episode since my dad watched reruns every night after work. Superman talking with Lois Lane on the balcony, her head tipped up, her eyes wide, hoping for something. But just like that, he disappears into the night. Jake picks his coat up off the bench. Mason's mom stops him, clutching his arm and saying what must be 1,000 thank yous. He nods but doesn't smile. Then Jake puts his arm around Colton and they walk out the front door. "What are you doing?" Elena appears, following my line of sight. My hands grip the fence around the court. I'm staring at the front door. I shake my head. "Sorry, that was... What are the chances that an emergency responder would be here right when we needed him?" Elena holds out her hands. "A blessing. That's what I call it." I draw in a deep breath and look at Mason sitting next to his mom, her hand rustling his hair. A blessing. Truly. So let's reiterate no gum on the courts, Elena says. I nod. Absolutely. TJ and I get the kids back on the courts. Mason takes a few extra minutes to compose himself, but then he jumps in with the others. Kids are so damn resilient. As we're running open play half an hour later, Alicia and Calder come hustling in through the side entrance carrying their bags and coffees. I raise an eyebrow. This late in the day? Alicia laughs. I have to keep him awake somehow. She walks up to the fence and lowers her voice. What happened earlier? I fill them in on the choking incident, but Alicia isn't satisfied. And what about the guy who lost his kid? It was him, right? I heard there was a fire truck. I scoff. Where are you getting your information? She nudges Calder. Avoiding the question, she totally has a thing for the firefighter. I do not. Alicia watches me, waiting for any tell, and while I try my darndest not to give her one, I can't help my lips from twitching. Okay, it was really hot watching him save that kid, I hiss, but I don't have a thing for him. He was kind of a jerk today, actually. Alicia grins and puts a hand up, pretending to block Calder from hearing what she says next. Those are the best kind. Calder huffs and pulls her down the aisle. We're late, Alicia mouths. See? And I laugh as they make their way to Court 8 where Justin and Sam are waiting. Juniors ends, and the club settles into evening rhythm. League players checking in, paddles clacking, my favorite early 2000s playlist bumping. I'm stacking cones when Elena appears at the gate. You good? She asks. Yeah, I think. I give a small laugh to cover the bone-deep exhaustion that's settling in. Today was a lot. I'm ready to take a hot shower and crawl into bed. I want you to know before you check the schedule, I'm compensating you for a private lesson next week. I pause, working to decipher that statement. I don't have a lesson next week? She leans on the fence. You do. I had to do something to thank Colton's dad for what he did today, and apparently his son hasn't stopped talking about you since they came in a couple of weeks ago. What? We had one 5-minute conversation. I couldn't have made that much of an impact. He loves how you teach, so I offered a lesson. I comped it, but you're still getting paid. The club will eat the fee. She straightens, fluffing her blonde bob. You're great, Rachel. It's no wonder these kids love you. My heart does a little somersault. I assumed that when Jake and Colton walked out of the building tonight, I wouldn't be seeing them again. But now. When is it? The lesson, I mean? I ask. Elena looks back over her shoulder. Next Wednesday, 4:00. Chapter 4. By the time I pull into the lot outside my apartment building, my eyes are drooping. I park, kill the engine, and grab my bag. And the second I open my car door, I'm hit with the scent of whatever the guy in Unit 12 is grilling tonight. I have no idea what he does for a living, but steak at 11 o'clock is a real commitment. I climb the stairs to the second floor and find Brooke sitting outside our door on the faded welcome mat, one knee up, one sandal dangling from her toes, scrolling on her phone. She looks up. There you are. Her blonde hair is pulled into a messy ponytail, and she's in boy shorts and a sweatshirt. I stop short. Why are you sitting on the ground? Did she lock herself out again? Because that has happened before. She drops her phone and tips her head toward the door. I got depressed. Not ominous at all. I unlock the door and step into our apartment, and the first thing I hear is water. Not running water, dripping water. I stalk into the kitchen and see the cabinets wide open, a full-on pitcher, half full, underneath the bendy pipe. Oh, for the love. Brooke grimaces. I tried to tighten it, but I think I made it worse. She lifts a wrench from the table to make her point. Our kitchen faucet has been leaking for the last week or so, but we put a plastic reusable takeout container underneath it, and it was a reasonable fix. Empty it every night, and done. We had a good thing going, I groan. Brooke leans against the counter and folds her arms. I know, I'm sorry, I thought it would work. And before you ask, yes, I texted the landlord at 6, then again at 7:15, then I called and he sent me to voicemail. Then he replied with, and I quote, I can take a look Thursday. I stare at the cabinet. Today is Thursday. Mm-hmm. So next week? Right. I grab the soggy towel on the counter and fling it into the sink. Water splatters my shirt. Fantastic. Brooke, to her credit, stays calm during domestic emergencies, or, disassociates and ignores them. She has the patience of a preschool teacher, which makes sense because she used to be one before she switched fields and started working for nonprofits. Maybe it's not that bad, I say. We could empty it twice a day. She gives me a look. Long day? I nod. You have no idea. 2 minutes later, we're sitting cross-legged on the floor in front of the sink with glasses of cheap Sauvignon Blanc and my laptop open to a search page that reads, "How to fix a leaky kitchen faucet before you burn down your rental." Brooke scrolls through one article. Okay, this says it could be the O-ring. I squint at a diagram of faucet anatomy. Why does every piece of plumbing sound like a sex toy? Because men, Brooke says, and I snort. I set my wine down and crawl halfway into the cabinet, craning my neck at the underside of the sink. Pass me your phone flashlight. Brooke hands it over. I shine the light upward. 2 supply lines, shut-off valves, a cluster of fittings that make no sense to my brain. This is ridiculous. We ask this man for one thing every 6 months, and it's like we've requested he personally lay new sewer lines. I'm not waiting until Thursday while our kitchen slowly transforms into a terrarium. That's the Rachel I know and love. Brooke pushes up from the floor. I extricate myself from the cabinetry and stand. As tired as I was when I got home, all it took was a little righteous indignation to give me a second wind. We can fix this. I think back to the broken faucet in my bathroom growing up, how my brother and I had to turn on the tub to wash our faces at night for 6 months before my dad fixed it. Back then, I didn't have the option of doing it myself. But now, I'm not waiting another second for a man to solve my problem. I'll fix it and then submit an invoice for parts and labor. Brooke grins. Ah, the confidence of a woman with internet access. It can't be that hard. Exactly what I thought 2 hours ago. Fair. But I point at the laptop screen. We just need to try something else. People do this all the time. People also free solo cliffs and ferment things in their bathtubs. Exactly. So why not us? Brooke checks the time on the microwave. It's after 9:30. Do you think hardware stores are open this late? I grab my phone and search. The nearest store to us closed at 8. The next one closed at 9. The only one still open is a big box hardware place north on the highway, 15 minutes away since there's no traffic. Brooke picks up her phone. Do you want me to come? I put a hand on her shoulder. As much as I love you, I think I need to call in reinforcements. She lets out a relieved breath and hugs me. Thank you. You're the best roommate ever. I am the best roommate ever. I scroll to Justin's name on my phone. Ironic, maybe, that I'm calling a man when I want to solve this myself, but Justin doesn't count. He's more of a brother, a co-conspirator. Plus, he fixed a leak at Smash Point last month, so I know he has some experience. He answers on the second ring. If you need advice on how to connect with your hot firefighter, you should call Sam. I roll my eyes. I need to go to the hardware store. That's a solid tactic. Pretend to be handy and then, Justin, focus please. Our kitchen sink is broken and our landlord sucks. The last open hardware store closes in an hour. He grunts like he just pushed himself off the couch. Got it. You want me to pick you up? If you're offering. Be there in 5. 4 minutes later, I'm in leggings, sneakers, and a hoodie, hair twisted into a clip, marching down the stairs with a photo of our faucet and 3 tabs open to YouTube plumbing tutorials. Justin's Tesla sings in the parking lot, and I hop into the passenger seat. He glances at me, then reaches into the cup holder and hands me a protein bar. For strength. Bless you. I live to serve. We pull out of the complex and head toward the highway, the city flattening around us into traffic lights, dark storefronts, and late-night fast food signs. Justin merges north onto the highway. How attractive was the rescue? On a scale of 1 to 5. I bite off a mouthful of the bar. Justin? Numerical answer only. 5. He laughs out loud. I need to learn the Heimlich. Do it. Next time you're with Sam, I'll pretend to choke and you can bruise my ribs. You'd do that for me? I swallow and put out my fist for a bump. Always your wing woman. He grins, then tries to reach over and mess up my hair. I fight him off, then turn up the music as we wind through the maze and hit the stretch of highway before our exit. Jake said he lived north of Smash Point. I wonder if he's in North Glen, Thornton, maybe Arvada, if he meant Northwest. But Colton's school is close to the club. Why would he be attending a school so far from home? Justin exits, crosses the highway, and pulls into the gaping parking lot. It's mostly vacant, which is why the first thing I spot is a fire truck near the far side of the building. My whole body perks up. Justin turns to look at me. You think it's him? I smack his shoulder. No, I don't think it's him. There are 1,000 firemen in this state, and we're at a random hardware store. As soon as he parks, I push open the door and get out. Do you know his name? Justin asks, slamming his door shut. Doesn't matter. It's not him. But you know it? I turn on him. Of course I know it. His kid comes to the club. Without permission. I'm not surprised he got the full rundown. I'm sure Elena's been talking about it non-stop. I give him a sidelong glance. Because I'm such a great teacher. Justin grins. You are a great teacher. He stops like there's a second part to that sentence. But nothing. That smirk on his face makes me want to flick his nose. Since he walks through the sliding glass doors first and there's an employee on the other side, I resist the urge. I wait until we're a few feet down the first aisle to continue the conversation. Just say it. He laughs, inspecting the hanging signs, then pointing to the plumbing section. It's nothing. I just wondered how the kid knew you were a good teacher. He talked to you once when they came in to ask about juniors, but you didn't give him a lesson. I opened my mouth to argue, but that's exactly what I was thinking when Elena told me about the lesson. How did Colton know I was a good teacher? And why did he want to schedule a private lesson with me when we barely got to do anything tonight before his dad showed up? I wrap my arms around myself. Don't do it, Justin says, reaching out a hand. He pulls me close. No, you're right. It doesn't make sense. Justin squeezes once, then lets me go. Maybe he just knew he liked you from the get-go. Well, most people do. Truth, Justin says as we take in the shelves stretching in both directions with rows of fittings, washers, cartridges, supply lines, and sealants. I hold up my phone photo and squint at the description under one of the YouTube videos. Why are there 37 options for parts that are called universal? Because marketing? He picks up a packet with tiny black rings. O-ring kit. Yes, please. That looks like your size. He laughs loud enough. The old man at the end of the row inspecting toilet flanges looks up. We spend the next 15 minutes crouching and reading labels. I show him the screenshots, and we've almost agreed on a strategy when two men walk down the aisle across from us in matching navy blue shirts. I don't realize I'm staring until Justin says, Earth to Rachel. Huh? Justin leans in. Do you want me to go down there? See if it's him? It's not him. I purse my lips. I don't care if it's him. I was just curious. The firemen look over and I jerk my head away, then jog the other direction when I spot an employee. I show him the name of the part we haven't found yet, and he leads us to another section and hands me 2 possible cartridges. We decide to get both. Then we circle through seal tape, plumber's putty, a small adjustable wrench, and something called faucet grease that looks and sounds all kinds of wrong. The firemen line up behind us at the checkout with a basket full of parts, and I become a horse with blinders. I don't look at them once, and by the curl of his lips, Justin finds that just as funny as my staring back in the aisle. Outside, he loads the bags into the back of his car and says nothing, which is how I know I'm in for it. We get in, and he uses a fancy app to start the car, then pulls out of the lot with, So, are we ready to admit you have a crush? Fine. I throw up my hands. It's a tiny crush, Justin. He's a beautiful man, okay? Justin pumps his arms like he just won a match. Am I the first to know? Damn it. He is the first to officially know. How does he always do this? He pesters the heck out of me until I finally give in. You're so annoying. Yes. He grins from ear to ear as we stop at a red light, and a text from Sam comes through on his phone. He chuckles to himself. All good? Yep. Mind if we take a quick pit stop at the grocery store? Sure. He winks. Sam's on her way home from this reception she had to go to for work. Sounds like something she'd hate. Exactly, which is why I need to show up on her doorstep with ice cream. Justin takes the next exit, and we stop at the King Soopers, thankfully open until midnight. There's something magical about walking through a mostly empty store after dark. It reminds me of the first time I drove, the first time I used my debit card. It feels like pure teenage freedom. You're grinning like a lunatic. Justin beelines for the frozen food section. Want to do a scavenger hunt? Ooh, or we have to find 10 things that start with the letter A? He laughs. Did you sniff something at the hardware store? I rush ahead and turn around to walk backwards and face him. We can do whatever we want. We could buy candy or try all their kinds of lip gloss. Okay. Justin grabs my shoulders and flips me around, pushing me like a shopping cart down the next aisle. It's way past your bedtime. I do feel a little giddy and hungry. I fling open the closest freezer doors and pick out a pint of ice cream labeled Funky Donkey. It's got fudge, peanut butter, pretzels. Justin's already holding a container of cookie dough. This is her favorite. But you could surprise her. Do you even know, Sam? That was fair. Well, at least get a pint for you. I toss it to him and he bobbles it, dropping it onto the ground. I laugh, chasing after it as it rolls behind him, and Justin grabs my shirt, yanking me back. It's mine, Rach. Stop trying to steal my ice cream. I squeal and jump onto his back, then regret that choice when he grunts and almost falls on his face. I scramble off, laughing so hard I can't breathe. I'm sorry. Are you trying to kill me? Justin picks up the pint from the floor, but I'm frozen to the spot. No pun intended. Jake. He's standing a few doors ahead of us in front of the popsicles, one hand on a basket, the other gripping the freezer door handle. He's wearing a maroon t-shirt stretched across his chest and light gray sweats that fit him perfectly. His hair is damp, not styled, just pushed back like he showered fast and left the house with zero interest in impressing anyone, which, naturally, is exactly what impresses me. It's like I've spotted a mountain lion in the wild. If I move, I'll ruin the moment. Justin follows my eye line, and the smugness drains from his face, replaced by surprise, and then, finally, sheer delight. Wait, are you the firefighter? Chapter 5. I blink my eyes closed, wondering if I'm seeing things. How is Jake here, right now, at a random grocery store this late at night? Shouldn't he be home with Colton or something? When I open them again, Jake is still standing there, but now Justin's walking toward him. No, I silently scream. This is a terrible idea. When I dated Justin's friend's Trey, he teased me mercilessly. Now that he knows I have a teensy crush on this guy, he's transforming into a shark that smells blood. I rush forward, but it's too late. Justin puts out a hand. Hey, I'm Justin, Rachel's favorite person at Smash Point. Jake glances at me, and I freeze like we're playing red light, green light. I don't know what passes between us, but it can't be good because he turns his attention back to Justin and says, I'm the firefighter. The firefighter? I groan internally. Great. Now he knows that I was talking about him to other people at work. Heat climbs my neck, but I try to throw him off the scent. The one everyone's talking about at Smash Point. Sorry, remind me of your name again? Justin raises an eyebrow. Jake's expression is unreadable as he says, Jake. Hi, Jake. Justin pops the K at the end of his name, grinning at me. Are you also purchasing a frozen confection for the evening? Before Jake can answer, I jump in, motioning at the space between us. He's buying ice cream for his girlfriend, Sam, from the club. Did you meet her when you came in? I give a nervous laugh. He was helping me pick up some plumbing parts, and we made a quick stop. Based on what Jake saw a few seconds ago, I'm sure he was making assumptions about me and Justin. It feels important that he knows the real situation. That he knows Justin has a girlfriend who isn't me. Plumbing parts? Jake frowns. I have a leaky faucet at my apartment. He grunts. You own it? I'm not sure whether I should be offended by that comment or flattered. Do I look like someone who would own an apartment in Denver at the age of 27? Or do I not look like someone who would own an apartment in Denver at the age of 27? That comment could go either way. Renting with my friend, Brooke. Jake's brow furrows deeper. Then your landlord should fix that? Should being the operative word in that sentence. I wink and click my tongue, and then my cheeks burn with embarrassment. What was I doing? Did I suddenly end up in a Trident commercial? I want the freezer door to open and swallow me whole, but since that's not going to happen, I change the subject as fast as humanly possible. Where's Colton tonight? Jake's cart has all the basics: a gallon of milk, eggs, peanut butter, bread. There's also frozen broccoli, a package of chicken thighs, and a family-size box of Cocoa Puffs. Weekend sleepover with a friend, he says. Gaming marathon. That sounds fun, I say. Jake's lips twitch, and it looks like I hit a nerve. Not a fan? I ask. I don't like him being away from home. The way his shoulders curl in that moment makes me think of a grizzly bear. I imagine him tearing through an old-growth forest to rescue Colton from middle school boys goading him into prank calls and R-rated movies. Jake glances down the aisle toward the front registers. Well, I better. Right. Have a good night, I say. Justin lifts the ice cream in salute. Pleasure meeting you, man. Jake gives a nod, then pushes his cart past us. When he's barely across the aisle, Justin whistles low. Okay. Tiny crush, my ass. I smack him, giving him a look that says, this store is too empty to say another word until we're safely in the car. Justin, thankfully, has mercy on me. But as soon as the passenger door closes, all he can talk about is Jake. It's 4 o'clock on Wednesday, and I've already changed outfits twice. Not because I care about how I look at this lesson, because I accidentally spilled iced coffee on the first shirt, and the second one made me look like a volleyball mom. The third option is a navy smash point quarter zip and white tennis skirt. Professional, perfectly appropriate. I tuck my hair into a ponytail and smile at my non-leaky faucet as I leave the apartment. I walk into Smash Point and transition from warm, late afternoon sun to cool air conditioning and tinted windows. Calder's at the desk when I pass. He looks up, clocks my outfit, and grins. Big day. Does everyone know about this lesson? Normal day. I wouldn't put it past Elena to be talking about this with the staff. She's still gushing about the miracle on Court 5 to anyone who will listen, and while I agree it was fortuitous, I wonder about telling everyone and their dog that a kid almost died in your pickleball club. That can't be good for business. I push through the gate to Court 3 and start setting out cones and targets. Not that we'll use all of them, but having a plan feels safer than standing around waiting for Jake Graham to appear and see in my eyes that I remember the exact fit of his gray sweats. He's just a dad. A hot dad who fights fires and buys groceries at night for his son who he's raising on his own. Nope, not helping. A ball rolls over from a neighboring court and bumps my shoe. I toss it back, then pause as the front door opens. Colton comes in first. He's in black athletic shorts and a red t-shirt, his paddle tucked under one arm and his backpack hanging off his shoulder. Jake follows, and this time he's in jeans and a plain charcoal t-shirt. Not on duty, apparently. He's freshly shaven, and it looks like he has a little product in his hair. He catches sight of me, and his mouth tightens. I'm not sure what reaction I expected, but that feels disappointing. Hey, I call, forcing breezy professionalism into my voice. Right on time. Colton jogs over, his eyes bright. Where should I put this? I grin and point to the bench. He drops his backpack, turns back, then thinks better of it. He bends down and yanks out a water bottle, then hands it to his dad. Can you fill this up? Jake nods, and I point to the water station next to the bathrooms. Colton grabs his paddle and pushes through the gate onto the court. Is your dad staying? I ask. No reason. Colton nods. He said it's only an hour, so it didn't make sense to drive home. Right. Okay, well, let's get started with some dinking. And then what? Colton twists his paddle in his hands. You want the whole plan? He nods, and I can't help but laugh. Most kids show up at lessons and open play to goof around, but Colton is all business. I figured we'd start with dinks and resets, then work on transition, then maybe a little serving and return position if we have time. He nods like a CEO approving an acquisition. Good. I hear Calder's laugh in the background and ignore the urge to look up and see if he's talking to Jake. At least it's Calder this afternoon and not Justin. Even if Calder's thinking something, he has a reasonable filter. Maybe my dad can hit around with us. Help me warm up, Colton says. My eyes widen. Does he play? He doesn't play, Jake says, setting Colton's water bottle by the fence. Colton scoffs. You do play, at the firehouse. For fun. Colton points his paddle at him like a tiny dictator. If you don't play, I'm telling Rachel what happened with the pancakes. Jake goes still. My ears perk up. The pancakes? Jake doesn't look at me. No. My heart speeds. No? What could Colton possibly have to say that Jake wouldn't want me to know? Colton lifts his chin. Then play. I don't have a paddle. I reach around the fence and grab one of our loaner paddles hanging next to the court. Will this work? Jake drags a hand over his face. Fine. His eyes cut to mine, and it feels like striking a match. He takes the paddle from me. Colton fist pumps so hard he nearly drops his paddle. Just a warm-up, Dad. It's my lesson. I cough to hide my laugh. Glad someone's enjoying this, Jake mutters. Hey, I would have been happy to hear about the pancakes. We start at the kitchen line, me on one side, Colton and Jake across from me. The first few dinks confirm what I saw the other day. Colton has soft hands and surprising body control. He's already moving his feet instead of leaning. Jake is surprisingly quick. Most men his size have slower reactions, and they tend to rely on how hard they can smack the ball instead of good mechanics. His contact point is a little late, and his paddle grip is a touch too tight, but it's obvious he's played enough to know what he's doing. I tap the next ball over. Try relaxing your hand. Me? Colton asks. I shake my head. No, yours is good. I was talking to your dad. Colton gives Jake a smug grin. Sorry, I murmur. Jake blows out a breath and absorbs the next ball better. Soft, low, controlled. That one acceptable to the committee? Better, Colton says, and again, I work to keep my face even. Jake hits with us for a few more minutes. Then I have pity on him and tell Colton it's time to start. We work on resets, and he struggles to get the ball over the net cross-court. After giving him a few things to practice, we move into a skinny singles drill to help him try his new techniques in real time. Split step, I call when I notice he's still charging to the net while the ball is at my paddle. We break for water after another 10 minutes. Colton flops onto the bench next to his dad, red-faced and happy. He takes a long drink from his water bottle. This is awesome. Jake's mouth curls, and his face transforms just like it did the first time I saw him smile. Crinkles form at the corners of his eyes, and everything about him feels lighter, like he's shedding an old skin or turning to face the sun. Jake's phone lights up on the bench next to him, and before he can grab it, Colton scoops it up and answers. Hey, Daryl. Colton dances away from his dad. Yep, we're at my pickleball lesson. Jake looks like he's split between letting this play out or putting Colton in a headlock. I know, she's right here. Colton looks at me, and I blink. Colton. Jake's voice is gruff. He stands and reaches for the phone. Colton must see his life flashing before his eyes because he hands the phone to his dad without any argument. Jake lifts it to his ear. Hey. Mm-hmm. He listens for a second. Got it. Thanks. He drops the phone but still stares at the screen. I consider jumping back into our lesson and pretending that weirdness didn't happen, but stacked onto the pancake reference, I can't do it. What's going on? I look between the two of them. Colton watches his dad. Nothing. Jake slides his phone back in his pocket. My eyes narrow, but before I can put my foot in my mouth, Colton says, Dad, just let me tell her. Jake's cheeks tinge pink. All my dad's friends love you, Colton blurts. Especially Daryl. I stare at him, my mouth hanging half open. That may be the last thing I expected to hear right now. What? I'm struggling to make sense of the information. Jake's friends? I've never met any of them, at least not knowingly, and I definitely don't know any Daryls. Colton shrugs one shoulder. From the app? Jake holds up a hand like he's going to explain, but Colton continues. Strive Lab? Your pickleball classes? Everybody at the firehouse does them. A rush of energy floods my chest. I'm a visual person, so I'm instantly imagining men like Jake watching my videos and practicing the footwork, the stretching. See? Colton folds his arms. I told you she'd think it was awesome. I realize I'm grinning as I look at Jake. Did you take my classes? I watch his face, waiting for any tell. Is that why they ended up at Smash Point? Did they know I was an instructor here? The pieces tumble into place like I just spun all the dials on a lock into the right combination. Was that why Connor talked about me being a good teacher without ever taking a lesson? Because he had learned from me before? The whole thing blows my mind. StriveLab gave me the download numbers, but it's something completely different to see it play out in real life. Do people recognize me at the grocery store? The gas station? Jake clears his throat. I watched the classes, just to help Colton. I raise an eyebrow, enjoying his obvious discomfort. Right, of course, because those classes would only be good to help kids. That's not what I meant. What did you mean then? Jake plants his hands on his hips. He drags in a breath and releases it. Just didn't want it to sound creepy. I try to keep a straight face as 1,000 questions flood my head. How many times has he watched my class? Does he ever watch it when he isn't working out? Just for fun? Then I'm a little grossed out because while I'd be happy for a guy like Jake to watch my content alone in his house, the idea of other men watching it is, in fact, a little creepy. It's not, I say. He watches me. Not what? Creepy. I imagine him going home after buying his groceries, sitting on his couch in those gray sweatpants and pulling out his phone. Heat flares in my middle, and I push off the fence. Let's keep going, shall we? See, I told you she wouldn't care, Colton says as he passes his dad. Rachel, are you busy on Saturday? Jake makes a noise in his throat. Saturday? I'd have to check my calendar. Why? Nothing, Jake says, just as Colton says, there's a pickleball tournament at the firehouse. Daryl wants you to come. My eyes widen. Oh, he does he? I look to Jake for corroboration. He shakes his head. It's stupid. Just between the guys. Daryl's not. He blows out a breath. He's always pulling crap like this. He got to go backstage at a Katy Perry concert, Colton says. Seriously? I laugh. Jake's jaw ticks. He's obsessive. I don't have anything on Saturday. I don't have to check my calendar to confirm that. We ran a juniors event last weekend, so this weekend I'm completely off. Colton picks up a ball. Daryl cooks at pickleball. He doesn't cook, Jake mutters. I have no idea what they're saying, but every time Daryl is brought up, Jake bristles. And now that I know Daryl likes me, or at least my pickleball classes, the whole dynamic is much more intriguing. Daryl wants me to come play at the firehouse Saturday. Jake either doesn't want me to go or doesn't want me to go because of Daryl. And it's that last potential option that makes me say, what time on Saturday? Chapter 6. Station 48 sits off a broad road in North Glen, about 10 minutes north of Smash Point if the lights behave and the gods of the Denver Maze are merciful. The building is squat and wide, tan brick with red bay doors, exactly like the picture of a firehouse in the board books my parents used to read to me as a kid. The morning is warm already, a blue Colorado sky so clean it almost feels edited, like someone turned the saturation up. There's a flag snapping on a pole by the curb, and I sit with my hands on the wheel, watching the fabric ripple. You ready? Brooke asks. It didn't take much convincing to get her to tag along. Even though I wasn't sure if any of the other firemen at this event would be single, she felt it was worth a shot. Mm-hmm. I reach for the handle on my door. Why am I so nervous? Maybe because everyone inside that firehouse has some image of me in their head, some expectation from the version of me that's on StriveLab. It's not like I was completely different when I filmed those classes. A little perkier, maybe. I do tend to amp up in front of a camera, as my college Instagram page can attest. But what if I don't live up to the hype? And was Colton the one who looked me up, or was it Jake? I'm beyond curious. Do you think Jake's into you? Brooke asks. I snort. 0%. Saying this somehow makes me feel better, lowers the risk. A part of me wants to impress him, but he's already seen my classes online and in person, and the most I've gotten out of him is a partial grin. Probably wiser to feel out this Daryl guy since he's at least forward enough to give me an invitation through a 12-year-old. I grab my pickleball bag out of the back as Brooke hoists hers up from the floor of the passenger seat. Of all the people I could have brought along, she's the perfect choice. Completely go with the flow, unflappable, since her job goes in 1,000 different directions on any given day. It's why I love partnering with her in doubles. She rises to the challenge of competition, never getting in her head. But a pang of insecurity hits me when I see her standing there with the brick firehouse in the background. You couldn't have looked a little less pretty today? I round the front of the car. She looks adorable in leggings and sweatshirt hanging off her shoulder, revealing her tank top strap. Brooke laughs in surprise, sunlight glinting off her blonde hair. You really like this guy. I chew on my lower lip. I'm intrigued. Her smile somehow widens. I've never dated a fireman or policeman. I wonder what it's like. I also wonder what it's like. The bravery and strength are obviously sexy, but I remember the stories my mom used to tell about her friend who married a police officer. He was always gone late at night and, according to her friend, had major anger management issues. Seems prudent to judge every man working in that field based on one anecdote. I laugh to myself and Brooke grins. What? Nothing. I won't flirt with him, promise. Brooke holds up her pinky, but I push her hand away. I know you won't. Just nerves? I nod. I always get a little giddy when I'm nervous. Since she watched me almost pee myself laughing before our match for bronze in the Springs, she's very aware. Well, we know he's watched your videos, and my guess is he had something to do with looking you up at Smash Point. So, pretty sure he's also intrigued. And if he isn't, he's an idiot because you're a friggin' catch. She throws an arm over my shoulder. Thank you for telling me I'm pretty. You already know you're pretty. She grins. Yes, I do. When one of the bay doors starts to open, I worry they've been watching us dilly-dally out here next to the car. I choose to believe the door raising without a knock is coincidence, since it's exactly 10 o'clock when we agreed to show up. How badly should we beat them? Brooke asks. I laugh. Oh, we should crush them. How could we do anything else? They asked us to come play pickleball, and Colton talked plenty about how good Daryl is. I looked up the term cook after the lesson. If they can't handle being beaten by girls, then they shouldn't have asked us to come. Inside the garage, an engine gleams red and chrome. I'm not a car person, but it really is beautiful. I want to walk over and open every latch, see what's hiding behind the tiny doors. Rachel! Colton bolts out, motioning for me to follow him through the bay. I jog across the street and walk up the driveway. Hey, this is my friend Brooke. He puts out a hand and waits for her to shake it. I wasn't sure you'd come, he says. Why wouldn't I come? He shrugs. My dad said it was weird that I asked you. It bugs that Jake seems to talk an awful lot about how much he's not a fan of Colton talking to me, or receiving lessons from me, or inviting me to his fire station. I ignore that and grin. Not weird. Happy to make an appearance for my adoring fans. Colton laughs, and it warms my heart. That first night I saw him at the club, he didn't seem capable of having fun. Now, he's acting like a normal kid, with an intense competitive streak, but still. Daryl says I have to give you a tour. Colton waves for us to follow him through a door and up a set of stairs. We emerge into a kitchen. It's warm and bright with the morning sun streaming in through the windows and has a giant whiteboard on the wall listing chores, truck checks, and someone named Mikey owing $10 for fantasy football. It feels lived in, like a utilitarian bachelor pad. There aren't decorative pillows or decorations on the walls, but the couch looks like you could sink into it, and there are 2 blankets thrown over the arms. It's cozy in a minimalist way. Colton shows us the bunk rooms and the bathroom, which is surprisingly clean. The rec room does have posters on the wall, mostly of movies, but there is one Sports Illustrated image of Pamela Anderson from the 90s. They have foosball, ping pong, a bookshelf, mini fridge, and a gaming console hooked up to a flat screen TV. It's exactly what my college guy friends would have wanted their future house to be. Can you buy guest passes to hang out here? Brooke whispers. And Brooke, apparently. Colton shows us the fireman's pole and doesn't give us the chance to opt out. He jumps on and slides down into the bay. My heart jolts as I shove my bag further onto my shoulder, grab the medal, and push off the floor. I gasp when I land, then laugh as Brooke screams through her entire descent. We both turn, a little wild-eyed and flustered, to see a man at the other end of the truck. He's built like a refrigerator with shaggy hair and a $1,000,000 smile. "Bro, you didn't offer to carry your bag?" He walks forward and takes both our pickleball bags off our shoulders. His athletic shorts hit just high enough to show a third of his impressively sculpted thighs. He looks like he could deadlift a small car. "Well, damn. She's real." He stretches out his vowels, looking at me like he just ran into Santa Claus in the middle of the mall. Colton beams. "Told you, Daryl." Ah, so this is Daryl. From the way Jake talked about him, I expected a Kevin Bacon kind of guy, wiry and a little sketchy, maybe smoking a cigarette next to the trash cans or something. "This is my friend Brooke," I say. "Are you a hugger?" Daryl asks. I throw out my arms and give him a look that says, "Am I a hugger?" And he steps up and wraps me in his arms. My breath punches out of me as he squeezes, and I feel like a wrung-out washcloth when he pulls back. I could get used to that. He hugs Brooke next, then takes our bags. "I'll pop these over here. No need to be carrying things while you eat." Brooke grins with all her teeth, and before anyone else can speak up, I ask, "We're eating?" Daryl nods. "Gotta fuel before the games. Right this way." We follow him to the doors. "Watch out for that. Just our gear set out in case we have to suit up." We round a line of boots with pants already connected at the ankles and rolled down so someone could step right into them. Impressive. There's a portable net set up out back behind the station with painted lines chalked onto a cement pad in bright blue and white. It's obviously retrofitted with only a few feet past the baseline before the concrete turns to crabgrass. So, noted, don't want to fall off the end of that going for a ball and break my ankle. A folding table holds a jug of water, paper cups, and a plate of what looks like breakfast sandwiches. Croissants? They look delicious. Beyond the fence, there's a drainage ditch, a row of cottonwoods, and then a street with low commercial buildings and apartment complexes behind it. A blonde guy in wraparound sunglasses and a sleeveless station shirt joins us. He looks like a surfer who miraculously found a way to survive this far inland. "Mikey." He puts out a hand and I shake it. Another man appears near the food table. He's tattooed and has the thickest yet best manicured eyebrows I've ever seen. "I'm Luis." "Rachel," I say. "Brooke." They all know you already. Colton looks embarrassed for me that I keep introducing myself. There's that little flutter again. It's so strange meeting people who you know nothing about but who already think they know something about you. Well, they don't know my friend. Colton concedes that point with a nod, then reaches out and plucks a sandwich off the plate. "Tell them about the kitchen TV." Mikey points at him. "See? This is why kids shouldn't be given information." Daryl musses his hair, exactly like Jake did at the club. "Kitchen TV is sacred." "We each get a day," Luis says. "Better choose good shows." I laugh. Wait, someone new gets to be in charge every day? Daryl nods, taking a bite out of his egg and cheese croissant. "Unless you get banned." He hands me a plate. "How do you get banned?" "Choosing crabby shows," Mikey says when Daryl gives him a look and nods at Colton. "Your class gets played a lot," Luis says, filling up a cup with water. I look between the three of them, puzzled. "My classes? But they're only on the app." Daryl looks at me like I'm crazy. "We stream them." He's about to say something else that I'm not sure I'll want to hear based on the direction this conversation is going, but Jake steps out from beside the engine carrying a pickleball paddle. Today he's in joggers and a plain white t-shirt. He stops dead when he sees me standing in the middle of his crew. "Okay," Brooke says under her breath, and I elbow her. "Morning." It comes out a little too eager. He gives me a long look. "You came." I tip my head. "You and Colton both, huh? Do I seem like a flake?" I'm a little offended. If anything, I've been the most reliable out of the three of us. "Aw, he's just used to guys like me forgetting our plans half the time," Daryl says, then claps both hands once. "Okay, let's get this thing rolling." Brooke and I grab sandwiches and eat while the guys fuss with the net. Jake stops beside me, his face pulled into that permanent scowl. Are there prizes? I ask. Jake gives me a sidelong glance. I only play for prizes. And there it is, that almost smirk. I could really get used to that. Should have asked before committing, he says. I sigh. It's a problem. Always jumping into things without getting the details. Jake reaches for a sandwich. Got your sink fixed? I grin. Yes. He takes a bite. If I said no, would you have offered to come fix it for me? I tease. Jake doesn't miss a beat. Probably. He swallows, his eyes locked on mine, then calls out, Hey, Daryl, that gift card up for grabs? I look between Jake and the guys. Probably? What did he mean by that? He wouldn't actually come over and fix my sink. That would be crazy. And now he's asking about a gift card? This man is giving me whiplash. Daryl frowns, straightening the left post of the net. What? The cookie place, Jake says, which clarifies nothing for me. Daryl's eyes light up. Oh, yeah, $40. Got that from the woman in Arvada. The cat lady? Louise asks. Daryl nods. Her daughter owns the place. She thought I was hot. He flexes for effect. Jake grunts. Seems like a good prize for the winners. You didn't have to do that, I hiss. Daryl chuckles. It's already mine. Not likely to change hands today. He winks at me and Brooke. Jake grabs a cup for water. Perfect. So winners take the gift card? I love it. Daryl steps back from the net, and it doesn't escape my notice that he hasn't actually answered Jake's question. I can't tell if Jake did that for me or if he did it to tick off Daryl. Either way, cookies sound great. Colton bounces on his feet. Can we start? Daryl slings an arm around Mikey's shoulders. We need teams. I call Rachel, Mikey says, but Daryl shakes his head. Nice try. Rotating partners for the round robin, then we'll set our partners for playoffs. Same partners? Brooke asks, grinning at me. Daryl nods. Yes, ma'am. Brooke and I play together first. The bounce is weird on the concrete, but we adapt, and even though the wind kicks up, we school Luis and Mikey. We tone it back when we're winning 9-2, let them score a couple of points, then finish it. Mikey overhits everything. Luis has good instincts and sneaky hands, but no patience. Colton was right that Daryl's good. He's steady, smart, and has way better drops than I expect from a man who looks like he works out by throwing desks through windows. Then there's Jake. When I sit down on the picnic table bench to watch, my stomach flutters. I feel the urge to make an excuse and go to the bathroom or stand by the water station, anything that doesn't require me to sit and stare at him, which would be easy to do. The sun beats down on us, and even though it's only supposed to be 75 today, it feels like it's 90. I could walk over to the shade. No questions asked. But everyone's sitting and staring because we're watching the next game. Jake and a guy named Ruben, who arrived while Brooke and I were playing against Louise and Mikey. I'm allowed to sit here and stare. Nobody will think a thing of it. I pretend I'm mostly interested in Colton's play, cheering him on, but my eyes keep slipping back to Jake like a key to a magnet. He's naturally athletic. Even if he doesn't have particular pickleball training, you can see it in the way he bends with his legs, in his hand-eye coordination and his footwork. He must have played some sport growing up because he's not planting his feet and leaning like most new players. What is it about him that reels me in like a fish? Is it because he looks a little broken? Because I see him single dadding it and want to fix him? Or is it because ever since I saw him save that kid's life on the courts, it feels like he's the one who could do all the fixing? I shiver, my cheeks flashing hot. Did you put on sunscreen? Brooke asks. I shake my head. You probably should. You look a little pink. I laugh to myself and pull my travel bottle from my bag under the bench. Brooke and I crack up when Daryl and Jake get into an argument over whether Ruben stepped into the kitchen. I can see why Daryl gets under Jake's skin. He over-exaggerates everything, and based on what I know about Jake, he's the kind of guy who prefers precision and order. But it isn't until Colton says, "Yes, Uncle Daryl," that I really get it. They're family? Daryl and Jake don't look anything alike, so I can't imagine they're brothers by birth. Uncle Daryl? I don't have time to ponder other options because the game ends and I'm called to play with Mikey. I hand my phone to Brooke. Will you get a few photos and videos for me? Forest Drive Lab? I nod. It's part of my job description to make 2 social posts a week. It's harder than it would seem for me to get content because most of the time I'm at Smash Point, I'm working with kids. Speaking of, I should probably ask the guys if it's okay to post anything we capture today. I have no idea who's in charge, so I walk up to Mikey, but before I'm even done asking, he sends me to Louise. Hey, is it okay if we post photos or videos from today? I ask. Louise nods. Get permission from Jake if Colton's in anything? Of course. Daryl somehow finagles his way back onto the court to play 2 in a row and insists that Jake be his partner. Mikey gives Daryl a smug smile as we line up on the baseline, but I don't share in his confidence. I'm conflicted. It's been a long time since I stood on a court and questioned how much of myself I should let out, but right here and now, that internal battle rears its ugly head. When I first started improving at pickleball, I was shocked at the reaction from the male players around me. Not all of them, but enough that I seriously questioned whether I was going to continue playing. Either they continued to treat me like I wasn't capable of handling my own side, or they closed off when I beat them. Those friendships, and even some potential romantic relationships I thought I had, gone, as soon as they weren't better than I was. That's why I'm friends with Calder and Justin. They like the competition. They push me to be better than I was before. But what about these guys? Will Mikey appreciate me taking more than my side of the court because my backhand is better than his forehand? Will Daryl drop the smile when I hammer the ball at his feet? Will I ever get an almost smile from Jake again if he loses in front of his fireman buddies? Ready? Daryl calls from the other side of the net. I nod, and sweat slides down my spine. As I'm about to serve, Brooke catches my eye. She cocks her head and crosses one leg over another. The question she asked when we arrived, and my answer, cycle through my head. Right. We talked about this. If they couldn't handle being beaten by girls, they shouldn't have asked us to come. And if guys like Calder and Justin exist, then why can't I find another one? I definitely won't find one if I keep allowing myself to sink back into 2 years ago Rachel. So, Mikey and I win 11-6. I tell Mikey after the first point that I'm planning to be aggressive in the middle, and he's surprisingly happy to let me take whatever balls I want. Daryl gets a little worked up after we score 4 in a row, but he's not a jerk about it. Even when I send balls down the middle and he and Jake can't figure out how to communicate. When we win, Mikey and I walk up to tap paddles. My heart kicks up a notch when Jake looks at me. I say, good game, and turn to walk off the court when I hear, I'm glad you're teaching Colton. I pause. Am I teaching Colton? The last I heard, we were only doing 1 complimentary lesson. Jake swallows hard. That was something else, Rach. Can I call you Rach? Daryl somehow got around the net and now stands next to me. I'm saved from answering his question by Colton, who grabs my hand and drags me over to a hose that someone pulled out and attached to a hydrant on the edge of the property. It's a massive canvas hose, not of the thin green garden variety. Want me to spray you? Colton grabs the end, ready to twist the metallic nozzle. Wait, He doesn't wait. With one twist, water launches toward me, soaking me from the waist down. Chapter 7. Colton explodes with laughter and turns it off. Doesn't it feel so good? I'm so shocked. I stand there with my hands stretched out like an eagle's wings. But when I think about it, it does feel good. Amazing, actually. I had no idea how overheated I was. Colton yells out for Mikey, then freezes when he sees Jake stalking toward him. You don't just spray people, Colt, Jake calls. The kid's smile slips. No, I asked. You're going down. I cackle and rip the hose from Colton's hand, then turn it on him and open the nozzle. Colton laughs and dodges, but I still get him in the back. I spin and am about to spray Jake when I slip on the wet grass. I drop the hose and grab onto him just as his hand locks onto my elbow. Tingles shoot up my spine, and I shiver at the warmth of his skin. It's blazing hot. Sorry, I pull back. Half of my wet handprint is on the sleeve of his t-shirt. Were you going to spray me? I clasp my hands behind my back. I'd never do such a thing. Jake's eyes flick down, and I realize my shirt is white. My entire stomach is probably showing through the fabric. He draws a deep breath, wets his lips, then lunges for the hose at the same time I do. We fight for it and end up rolling on the grass before the hose is ripped from both our hands. Colton stands above us with a maniacal look on his face. "No, Colt!" I start, then gasp as water soaks us both. When we're thoroughly drenched, he moves on to Daryl, then Luis, and Brooke even jumps in for a spray down. I'm laughing and sputtering and don't realize how tangled up I am with Jake until I open my eyes. I'm lying on top of him, my chest pressed to his, my leg threaded between his thighs. He wipes a drip from his cheek that came from my hair, and I scramble up. "Sorry." "No, you're not." Jake pushes up to sit next to me on the grass. "You're right. I'm not." He stands and shakes off like a wet dog. His shirt is white too, and his shorts stick to his skin, not leaving much to the imagination. I jump up so I'm not staring directly at his crotch, but heat climbs up my neck. I search for something to say, and my eyes land on Colton while I wring out the bottom of my shirt. "He seems pretty comfortable here." Kids always make the best distractions. Jake nods. "I wish he could come around more often." My eyes flick to Jake's chest. He's not built in an unrealistic way. He just looks strong, like every muscle on his body gets regular use. "Where does Colton go when you're working?" "His grandma's house. Takes the bus after school." "And he stays the night there?" "Good job, Rachel. This is very normal, very appropriate Jake takes his shirt off to wring it out. His body is exactly what it looked like under that wet fabric, but there's a tattoo on his right, or his left, my right, pec. It looks like train tracks or a ruler, some kind of measurement. I don't realize I'm staring until he pauses mid-ring. He noticed. "There's no getting out of this one." "What is it?" I point at his tattoo and take a step closer. The lines come into harder focus, and I realize they aren't straight lines. They're more jagged, like, heartbeat. Colton's, from his first ultrasound. I exhale in a rush, and my finger twitches. I want to reach up and touch it. There are two patterns parallel, one on top of the other. They're different enough, though, that I ask, "And the second one?" Jake pauses a moment, then says, "His mother's." My eyes flick up to his. There's no smile on his face, but I do get an expression I've never seen before. It's disarming. The furrow in his brow softens, and it's like his whole body relaxes, takes a breath. The air around us presses tight, making it difficult for my chest to expand. Then a soaking wet Daryl appears at my elbow and pops the moment with a pin. He holds out a cold can of sparkling water. "For the guest of honor." I blink. Maybe kids and Daryl's are the best distractions. I force my eyes away from Jake's and take the can. "You guys really roll out the red carpet." Sounds rush in from the yard. Someone started music on a speaker next to the bay door, and Brooke's laugh makes me spin. She's holding the hose now, pointing it straight at Mikey. Daryl grins. "You embarrass Jake in front of witnesses. That buys a woman a drink." Jake's a few steps away now, pulling his shirt back on. It doesn't seem like he heard that comment over all the cacophony, but I'm not totally sure. "I don't think he was embarrassed," I say. Daryl ignores that comment and leans against the brick wall next to us. "I'm sure Colton told you, but I love your videos." That one I'm sure Jake hears. He pretends not to, but his whole body stills. I laugh, feeling like I'm playing a part. My insides rearranged in the last 30 seconds, and I have to remember how to be a pleasant party guest. "Wow, is that your line?" The tattoo is his mother's. Why would Jake have a woman's heartbeat tattooed on his chest? Unless... "What do you mean?" Daryl asks. Jake stalks away from us, his shoulders hunched like a linebacker. What did I mean? What conversation was I having? Right, Daryl. He loves my videos. "Your pickup line." "Does it seem like I'm trying to pick you up? Maybe I was going to discuss strategy." Okay, shoot." Was Colton's mom dead? Was Jake a single dad because he was a widower? My stomach sinks to my knees. Daryl scrubs a hand over his jaw. "Yeah, I was trying to pick you up." "Hey, Daryl," Jake calls from across the yard. Daryl waves him off. "I have a crush on you, Rachel, and watching you play in person only made it worse." I have no idea what to say to that, so I sip the sparkling water. Lime. Nice. It gives me a second to come up with, I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting any of this. Here I am standing in the middle of a yard, totally drenched, about to play more pickleball with a gaggle of heartthrobs, and all I want to do is climb the stairs to the rec room, sit on that cozy-looking couch, and cry. Daryl looks concerned. In a bad way? I shake my head. Not in a bad way. I'm flattered and confused and unable to sort through all of it at the moment. Cool. He gives me another look, pushes off the wall, and heads back to the court. You okay? Brooke asks as I wander back over and help her dry off with a towel Colton brought out for her. She's completely drenched. I nod. Daryl told me he has a crush on me. He said that? She laughs and leans over to scrunch her hair. Mikey asked if I wanted to go to the fireman's ball next weekend. What's the fireman's ball? She shrugs. I don't know, but it sounds fancy. Do you want to know the last time a guy straight up asked me on a date? I wait for the reveal. I honestly can't remember the last time I was asked on a date. Trey and I went out together a lot, but did anything ever feel that official? It was more like, I'm hungry, meet me at Postino. Brooke wipes her nearly dry hair from her forehead. High school. It was Brandon Kelly, and he asked me to the homecoming dance. These guys are, I don't know, more bold. I think I love it. Daryl was definitely bolder, but unfortunately, the one guy I wished would give me any kind of window into his head was very much not. Brooke and I partner for playoffs and easily go through Luis and Ruben. Jake and Colton are next, which hands me another conundrum. Am I really going to destroy a kid to win a $40 cookie gift card? Brooke turns to say something to me when a siren slices through the air. I cringe and clap my palms to my ears, and in the 2 seconds it takes me to do that, the guys have already dropped their paddles. I've never seen grown men move so fast. In 10 seconds, they're at the edge of the building, stripping off their wet clothes and jumping into the boots and pants laid out there. In under a minute, they're in station wear and pulling on their turnout gear. Dad, how long will this be? Colton calls. Daryl's on the phone, already jogging to the truck. Stay in the station, Jake says, and Colton doesn't question him. We can keep an eye on him, I call out, and Jake nods. Then they're on the truck with lights and sirens blaring, and in less than 3 minutes, the truck is driving down the street. That was... Brooke trails off. Yeah. I'm still processing when Colton drops onto the bench next to the court. Lame. We don't get to play our game. I laugh. Someone might be dying in an inferno across town, but the pickleball game should definitely be the priority. I say as much, and he gives me a look. It's probably just a car accident. I sit next to him. Oh yeah? Does that happen a lot? Colton shrugs. Brooke sets her paddle down and works to pull her hair into a better ponytail. I thought it would have been medical emergencies. I think I read that somewhere, that firefighters respond most to heart attacks or seizures because they're cross-trained as EMTs. Colton pops up from the bench and walks over to the food table. The sandwiches have long been put away since the morning, but there are other snacks and fruit sitting there in the sun. What are you doing? I ask as he picks up one of the bowls. Taking this inside so it doesn't get wasted? Okay, so that's adorable. Here, I'll help. Brooke follows, snagging a plastic bowl filled with mandarin oranges. The sun is still warm on my shoulders as we carry everything back through the bay doors. It feels cavernous without the truck, and strange to walk up the stairs without any of the hustle and bustle from earlier. The music still plays outside, so at least that keeps us company. Colton sets a bowl and a half-empty chip bag on the small island. The kitchen is modest, but there's a long wooden table with 10 mismatched chairs next to it. Plenty of room for eating. I stack a few containers near the sink. You're very responsible. You know that? Yeah, he says like it's obvious. Brooke bumps my shoulder. Careful, that's going to go to his head. Colton huffs a laugh. My dad says my head can't get any bigger. I plant a hand on my hip. I think it's fantastic that you have so much confidence. Colton shrugs and opens a cupboard door to put the chips back. He doesn't clip the bag shut, and I make a note to fix that when he isn't looking. Brooke opens a cabinet and pauses. Okay, why are there 12 jars of peanut butter? Colton doesn't even blink. Because Daryl keeps forgetting he already bought some? Brooke shuts the cabinet and moves to the sink, picking up a mug with a cartoon Dalmatian wearing a firefighter helmet on it. She snorts and turns it around so I can see the back. Hot Shot is written in all caps. Whose is that? My dad's. Colton pauses, and a slow smile lifts the corners of his mouth. My mom gave it to him. My stomach hollows out so fast, it feels like he reached out and punched me under my ribs. Brooke seems to be breathing fine when she asks, Did your parents get divorced? My pulse rushes in my ears as Colton shakes his head. No, she died 2 years ago. Neither of us has finished processing that sentence when Colton jumps and pulls a phone that I didn't know he was carrying out of his pocket. He flips it open, and I'm transported back to 2004 when I used to play with my dad's old phone that he kept in a drawer in our computer desk. Did they still make flip phones? Colton reads the message, and his shoulders hitch. What is it? I ask. It's my dad. What did he say? I keep my voice light. Colton's lip quivers. He said it's going to be a while. Big traffic accident. His breathing changes and his eyes gloss over. He's probably sad our pickleball day is over for the moment. I take a step closer and put a hand on his shoulder. That's okay. We had a blast while it lasted. I glance over at Brooke. What were we supposed to do now? Stay here and continue snooping through their stuff? It didn't feel right to leave Colton here alone, but did they really want us hanging out in the empty fire station? Colton swallows hard, and I wonder if he's less upset about pickleball and more worried about his dad. I crouch in front of him so I'm at eye level. Colton? He looks up from his phone, and there's a flicker of panic he's trying hard to shove down. They'll handle it. That's what they do. He nods again, pursing his lips. Can I text him? I ask. He hesitates, then hands me the phone. I take it, then realize I have no idea how to send a message. This thing is prehistoric. It takes me 3 tries just to get a letter to appear correctly in the window. Are you writing a novel? Brooke murmurs. Hey, you have to hit each key 3 times to get the letter you want. Colton blows out a puff of air. It's so annoying. All my friends have iPhones, but my dad won't let me. Well, he's a good dad, I say while cursing his name in my head. After failing to put a space between this is Rachel, I delete it and opt for Rachel, can you call? I hit send. We wait. A minute later, the phone rings. I hold it out to Colton, but he motions for me to answer. I have to ask him which button to press. The green telephone, obviously. Hello? Rachel. Jake's voice is rough, threaded with background noise, sirens and chatter. Yeah, hey, we're here with Colton. He's a little worried, and I wondered, is he okay? Put him on. Jake sounds more worried than I would have expected, so I don't answer. Just hand the phone to Colton. Dad? His voice cracks just a little. I turn away, giving him space. Is it bad? Colton asks. He listens, says, a couple of times, then, but nobody died? Brooke and I lock eyes. That's his question? He's not worried about his dad, but the people who got in the accident? What 12-year-old thinks like that? Okay, Colton says. Good. Another pause. Okay. He taps me on the shoulder and holds out the phone. I put it back to my ear. Hey, thank you, Jake says. I'm sorry we had to bolt. It's your job. You don't need to apologize. Jake blows out a breath. Yeah, could have planned it better. Daryl's an idea guy. I grin. Well, I'm just mad I didn't get the gift card. Jake laughs, and the sound is so surprising I physically jolt. It's over almost before it started, and then he says, I'm going to call a friend. I won't be back tonight, so I need to get Colton to his grandma's. I look at Brooke, even though she can't hear the other side of the conversation. Well, we could take him. He just needs a ride over? I wonder if he needs to stop home and get his things, and I'm mid-calculation on whether I should drop Brooke home first before running this errand when Jake answers. Yeah, but you don't need to do that. It's kind of a perfect opportunity for my child trafficking ring. Tough to get kids in my car these days without puppies. There's a pause, and then another full-on chortle from Jake bounces over the airwaves. It's like a shot of 3-hour energy. My blood buzzes, my heart pounding against my ribs. I knew he'd be a target eventually, Jake says. He's too damn cute. This time, I laugh. Well, as long as we're on the same page. And it's no problem. His grandma's house was most likely on my way home. Hadn't one of them said she lived closer to his school, which was by Smash Point? The trafficking? Correct. I think I can hear his smile through the phone. I thought I was addicted to those Biscoff cookies they serve on flights. The last time Brooke and I flew to a tournament, she told me you can buy them in bulk at Costco, but I haven't checked because I would eat the entire package in one day. Well, this? The rush I get making this near perfect stranger with a permanent scowl laugh? It's worse. I'll text you the address, he says. Me or Colton's phone? I freeze after I blurt that out. Was it a normal question or was it an obvious grab to give him my number? Because I absolutely want to give him my number and I don't trust my ability to hide it. After a small pause, Jake says, good idea. Colton can text me your number. I'll send it there so you can reach me if you have any issues. Right. Practical. Perfect, I say with my heart still hammering, and I'm not sure how to end the conversation. Then the chaotic white noise on the other end of the line fades a little. Rachel? Jake's voice is soft, but somehow louder, like he's pressing the phone harder to his cheek. I shiver from head to toe and pray it wasn't visible to Colton or Brooke. Mm-hmm. Thank you. I swallow hard. You're welcome. The line goes dead and I close the phone, handing it back to Colton. Normal. Be normal. I channel my 14-year-old self getting in the car with the dad of the kids I just babysat, pretending it wasn't super weird to be in the car with a grown man wearing a now half-unbuttoned dress shirt. I clap my hands together. Okay, so this is the best day of your life because we're going to take you out for ice cream and then back to your grandma's house. Colton's eyes light up. My dad said I could go for ice cream? Nope, I did. His smile widens. Just text him my number so he can send me the address. I know the address, Colton says, but I wave him off and start dictating digits. He isn't going to ruin this for me with his first child diligence. Brooke rounds the island. I call shotgun. I'm not even big enough to ride in shotgun, Colton says. Focus. I tap the phone. 720. He taps out my number. And the three of us head for the fire pole. Chapter 8. I have a rule about not going inside people's childhood homes. It's nothing laminated or stuck to my fridge, but it sits between don't text your ex after midnight and never rewatch your video messages. There's just something too intimate about stepping into the place that made someone, like sneaking in and reading their diary. Or maybe it's just that I don't want to revisit all of my own uncomfortable childhood memories. It's probably the diary thing. Colton leads me up to his grandma's house. It's small. The white paint's so old it looks almost chalky, but the porch looks newly constructed and there are pretty spring flowers blooming in garden pots along the rail. It felt wrong to stay in the car without even introducing myself, but now I'm not sure how to avoid crossing the threshold. Colton pauses on the step. It's okay if you don't want to come in. The look on his face is hopeful. For me to turn around and walk away or ask to stay for dinner? I'm not scared of grandmas, I say. He grins. You look a little scared. That's just my normal face. He snorts and bounds up onto the porch to knock on the door before I can reconsider. It opens almost immediately, and the woman standing there is, there's no other word for it, adorable. Small, 70-ish, maybe a little older, with soft silver hair that isn't curled like most older women I see, but in a modern bob. She wears a pale blue cardigan and house slippers, and her smile lands somewhere in the range between delighted and relieved. Well, there's my boy. Colton swings the screen door open and launches into her, wrapping his arms around her waist. Now I'm wishing I didn't drop Brooke off at Smash Point because I have nobody to make "aww" eyes with. I catch the door with my hip. Hi, Grandma, Colton says. Hi, sweetheart. She cups his face, then pushes his head back to look at him. Oh, you're flushed. Have you been running around? We played pickleball, he says immediately, turning halfway back to me like I'm part of the story he's telling. Rachel beat me, but only because she's got longer arms. I bark a laugh. That's the only reason? Grandma laughs, warm and bright. Well, I'm glad someone is keeping you honest. Her eyes lift to me. So, Rachel, is it? Hi. I put out a hand and shake hers, and I'm instantly transported to when I was 9, visiting my grandmother in her new apartment. It was an assisted living facility, but she had her own unit with a kitchen and living area. I remember wanting to touch her hands over and over again because they were as soft as our black lab Ava's ears. Jake told me a friend was bringing him home. She shuffles back and nods toward the kitchen. I've got a cookie for you. Oh, I don't need, I start to say, but she's already on her way. I shift my weight on the mat. I could at least step in so mosquitoes aren't zipping into her living room. There's no real entry, so I stand on a square spot of hardwood. It's neat and tidy. There's a crocheted blanket folded over the back of the couch, a stack of mail held down by a ceramic bird, and family photos everywhere. Colton chatters away around the corner. I played with Daryl, and Dad hit this one shot that was like... Something clatters, followed by, "Oh, sorry, I'll clean that up." I stifle a laugh and take a step closer to the family picture on the wall in front of me. I can't help myself. Jake is there with Colton, Daryl, and 2 other women. While Jake and Daryl look nothing alike. You know who does? Daryl and the woman Jake has his arm around. They have the exact same noses, the same lips. Next to that photo is Colton's grandma with Daryl and the same 2 women, all gathered around her in a big family hug. This isn't Jake's childhood home. It's Daryl's. He's the brother of Jake's wife, previous wife. I can't bring myself to think the D word. Here you go. Grandma emerges from the kitchen with 2 cookies on a floral napkin. That's something I haven't purchased in my adult life. Napkins with a print. It looks so pretty when she hands me the cookies that I suddenly have the urge to pull out my old crochet needles and make bread from scratch. She looks as if she's about to say something, then notices the photo I was looking at. Sounds like you already know Daryl. He's my youngest. That's Caroline and Emily. She points at the 2 women in turn. Caroline's the one with Jake in the photo to the left. I'm not sure what to say since I have no idea if she knows I'm aware of Caroline's death, so I go with, "They look so happy." Grandma smiles. People told me my girls would fight, but they never did. Just the best of friends and 2 mother hens for Daryl. I laugh. I'm sure he loved that. Oh, he did. Sat perfectly still while they put makeup on him and did his hair. That's why he started keeping it long. Did you know that? I shake my head, thinking back to how Daryl pulled his hair half up into an elastic before playing today. Had his sisters taught him that? My heart is cracking into pieces, thinking of Daryl losing one of his big sisters, when Colton pops into the living room and the full weight of what this family has been through punches me straight in the teeth. He lost his mom. This woman lost her daughter. Jake lost his wife. Thank you so much for the cookies, I say, retreating to the door. I give Colton the best smile I can muster. See you at Junior's? Hopefully. He walks closer, but I'm so close to tearing up I can't wait. Okay, have a great night. Bye. As soon as I'm outside, I reach for my phone out of habit. I'm aware that I use it to buffer my emotions, but hey, it's better than drugs. At least that's what I tell myself. There's nothing from Jake after the address text, so I send a quick note letting him know that Colton's safe at home, then get in the car and start it. I want to sit there until my eyes stop blurring, but it's too embarrassing to think of Colton or his grandma watching me through the window. I've never lost anyone close to me. Both sets of my grandparents are still alive, and all my aunts, uncles, and cousins are too, though it's not like we're close. My siblings and parents are healthy, and this realization sends a wave of guilt washing through me. I pull away from the curb and retrace my turns to exit the neighborhood. When was the last time I talked to my parents? Was it my mom's birthday last month? The pull to call her wars with the brick wall that slams up every time I think about being more involved, especially with her. It wasn't her fault that my dad treated us the way he did, but she was the only one who could have stopped it. I wait at the light to go on to southbound I-25 when my phone lights up. It's Carrie. Ladder play tonight. You coming? I hesitate for half a second, then type a response. Yes. The light turns green. A good game with friends after a day like today is exactly what I need. At Smash Point, Carrie spots me first, waving her paddle like a flag. There she is! I almost make it past the front desk before Elena says, "Oh, Rachel, I've been trying to catch you. The lost and found items? I know, I've got it on my list." I smile even though I'm dying on the inside. "I'm sorry it's taken me so long." She pretends like it's not a big deal, even though I know she's mentioned it to multiple people, trying to crowdsource my shaming. Just wanted to remind. I give her a thumbs up. Next week, I'll get it done. I escape down the aisle and find every court booked. Natasha and Ben are playing with a couple I don't recognize. Pete and Julie are there with a group of friends. And there are my people. Alicia, Calder, and Carrie wait at the fence. Justin and Sam laugh about something near the benches, but I don't see Brooke. Marco's across the aisle in his Nuggets t-shirt, talking to Megan, who looks like she just stepped out of a fitness ad. I still think it's hilarious that Alicia and Megan are such good friends, considering how that relationship started. I've been meaning to ask if Megan is still with that guy, Garrett. For a month or so, they were always playing with Calder and Alicia, but I haven't seen him around the club in weeks. Finally, Carrie says as I drop my bag. We can only play so many rounds of hot corner. I laugh. Why, because Calder's crying that he can't beat you? Calder grunts. It's been 50-50. Did Brooke head out? Carrie nods. Some friends from work wanted to go out, so she showered and left. Hence the reason we needed a fourth. I warm up for a few minutes, but everyone else is sick of waiting, so I take a few serves and start. You'd think I'd dial in easily since I already played this morning, but everything is a half step off. My timing, my reactions. You good? Calder asks after I mishit my return on his serve and the ball flies onto the adjacent court. We finish the game and I apologize to Carrie for tanking us. She waves me off and motions to the locker area. Water? I nod. I forgot my water bottle in the car. We walk together, chatting about a tournament she's playing in June, but my heart's not in it. It doesn't take her long to notice. Okay, spill. She stops me before we walk back out to the courts. I consider giving a general response like, I'm tired, or my period starts tomorrow, both of which are true, but this is Carrie. Honestly, I've been through so much with all of my girlfriends here at Smash Point. They deserve better than that. I sigh, leaning against the wall. You know that kid I coached with the fireman dad? Everyone knows about him. Yeah, well, I went over to the firehouse today with Brooke. Wait, for the kid? I nod. Technically. She raises an eyebrow, and I fill her in on how the guys had been watching my classes, and I was a mini celebrity over there, so we went to play a pickleball tournament, which turned into seeing Jake's family photo on his mother-in-law's wall. She lets out a long sigh. Wow. I know. Carrie looks down, and she's fiddling with the wrap on her paddle. Carrie never fiddles. Your turn, I say. And it's like I opened up a floodgate. You know my friend Lila? She's the one who I told you was going to be at that tournament Justin hosted in the Springs. I remember. I said hi, but didn't get to chat. Well, she posted a picture today, she says, unscrewing her bottle and taking a drink, of her playing doubles with Nick. Nick? I ask. The one and only. Nick is Carrie's ex. Not her ex-husband. That guy's been out of the picture for years, but her ex-pickleball partner and ex-boyfriend. I don't know all the details of their split on either count, but it was ugly. She hasn't played mixed doubles competitively since. She groans. He looks good, like nothing ever happened. I used to think that was always true, that girls took the brunt of the pain from a relationship ending, until I saw Justin go through his breakup. He looked like absolute crap. Probably because he doesn't have a conscience. Well, that's the damn truth. Carrie screws the cap onto her water bottle. Okay. Thank you for that. Now we can play for real. I laugh. I'll try my best. We head back to the courts and play another few games where I'm marginally better. For some reason, I can't figure out my backhand. Everything I hit goes straight into the net. Thankfully, my drives are beautifully low, and I'm flicking away speed-ups like they're flies. I can tell Calder wants to play longer, but I have to call it. Text when you get home, Carrie says. I will. When I walk into my living room, it feels like it's been 100 years since I was last there. Brooke texted on the drive back, letting me know she wouldn't be home until late. Carrie was right on. Someone from work wanted to go out for drinks at the new stone-fired pizza place that opened in Sunnyside. I drop my bag, text Carrie, then head straight for the shower and stand under scalding water until my skin turns pink. I barely remember to wash before getting out because I'm mentally 2 steps ahead, under a blanket, watching Ted Lasso. Carrie got me hooked after her daughter Ella got her hooked. It isn't until I'm drying off and my stomach growls that I realize I haven't eaten anything since the firehouse. What time is it? The clock says 7:10, but it feels more like 9. I get dressed and make myself a grilled cheese with leftover marinara from my dinner last night for dipping, then settle onto the couch. I check my phone, not realizing I was looking for anything specific until disappointment hits that there's no text from Jake. I feel a flash of annoyance and then remember what he does for a living. He's probably elbows deep in the wreckage of a car or helping someone into an ambulance on a stretcher. At least now I know what this feels like. I'm not even dating the guy, and I already feel a little inferior saying I work for a fitness app. When I swipe out of my messages, I see a notification I missed. A shared photo album invitation. My heart jolts. Brooke sent over the footage and pictures she took at the firehouse. I take a bite of my sandwich, wipe my fingers on a napkin, and scroll. Not every picture is a winner, but there are some excellent shots. And the videos, perfection. Great points, but even better capture of the laughing and joking around. Strive Lab is all about connection and fun, so this couldn't be better. I forgo turning on a show and start editing instead. I finish a reel and am selecting videos for the next one when I stop on a particular clip. Back up. Play it again. It's me, getting absolutely blasted by the hose. Brooke laughs behind the camera, but it's Jake whom I can't stop staring at. He's walking up, just off to the side. He's watching in horror at first, but then his face lights up with a smile. I think he's looking at Colton, but he's not. He's looking at me. My chest tightens. I replay it, pause, stare. I scrub back a few seconds, watching the way his expression shifts, the way his shoulders relax. A text from Carrie snaps me out of my narcissistic obsession. I'm not looking at socials tonight. That's my commitment to you. I snort. You owe me $20 if you break. She hearts my message, and speaking of socials, I flip back into work mode. The hose clip is gold. Not just for me personally, so I use it. I finish the reel, cropping so you can't see Colton since I didn't ask Jake about that, and trimming it down to a short and sweet message about playing as hard as we work. I decide to schedule that one first thing in the morning since it's a relevant message for the weekend. Then I set my phone down and turn on the TV. Before the streaming app even loads, my phone screen lights up. Jake. Hey, you make it home okay? Chapter 9. I wake on Sunday morning like I'm a computer rebooting. One system online, buffering, calibrating, then another. It's hearing first for me. Birds chirp outside the window like I'm sleeping in the middle of the Amazon. Then touch. I'm too warm and too cold all at the same time. Did I sweat through my tank top? Then finally, I open my eyes and blink. I forgot to close my blinds last night, and it's like someone installed a spotlight directly outside my window. My comforter is twisted around one leg like it's trying to keep me hostage, and my underwear is half wedged between my butt cheeks. So, very peaceful night of sleep, I'm guessing. Last night drops into my head like an anvil, and I scramble for my phone. 11:12 a.m. Okay, reasonable, considering I didn't go to bed until past 2. I didn't go to bed past 2 because I was texting with Jake. My stomach swoops like I just got double bounced on the trampoline. He texted, and I texted back, and then we didn't stop texting until he had another alarm at the firehouse. I grin like a goof as I thumb back through our messages. Then the fear hits when I realize I have no idea if my texts will hold up the morning after. Was I weird? It was probably weird. I brace myself and start at the beginning. Me. Yep. Are you still at the accident? Jake. Back at the firehouse. So far, so good. And then, did you get donuts? There it is. Jake. What? Me. Cops always get donuts, so I thought maybe firemen do too. We have a kitchen. We cook. Wait, all of you cook? Or just one person? Who buys groceries? What are your favorite meals? I wish I could say that's the end of my question list, but it's not. I cringe looking at the screen full of blue text. But really, when you hear that a house full of men are cooking with and for each other, whose brain isn't going to explode with curiosity? Jake gratified most of my inquiries with answers. They all take turns cooking. They have a Takeout Tuesday tradition and a cookbook they keep adding to with their favorite recipes. They go shopping together, and his favorite meal is a simple spaghetti bolognese. Justin was right. Tiny crush, my ass. Because I have a love affair with spaghetti bolognese. My mom and dad took a trip to Italy for their anniversary when I was in my teens, and when they got back, that dish became a staple in our house. My mom made it the authentic way with sardines and Italian sausage. It's hard for me to eat at Americanized Italian restaurants now because hers was so good that nothing else holds up. I keep scrolling. Jake. Luis's wife brought in cookies. Me. Luis is married? Are the other guys married? 50-50. The guys you saw today are all single except Luis. The married guys had family commitments. But they were jealous because they wanted to be there. Obviously. What kind of cookies? Chocolate chip. Classic. FYI, my chocolate chip cookies were described by a child at the Smash Point bake sale as being better than lunch. So, basically award-winning. Depends on what the kid had for lunch. I laugh a second time reading that response. Jake talks way more over text than he does in person, and he's funny. The texts keep going, hundreds of them. At one point, I asked if he needed to go, but he said it was Daryl's turn to cook, and he was sitting on the couch with nothing to do. But I've been in that house, and I know there's plenty to do. I love that I can envision it, that I can see that room and imagine him and all of the other guys in it. He wanted to talk to me. That's the conclusion I'm drawing from this, and it makes me giddy. I didn't say everything I wanted to say, but pretty close. The only topic I avoided was the obvious one. Jake mentioning Daryl made me think of dropping Colton off and seeing that photo, but I didn't want to mess anything up by bringing up his family situation. He's lived with the reality of his wife being gone for a couple of years, but I just barely found out. I don't know what the rules are. How long does someone wait before their dead spouse is an open topic of conversation? Is he interested in dating again? Plus, he has a kid to consider, which I can only assume makes things 1,000% more complicated. When my bladder starts to complain, I toss the comforter off and shuffle to the bathroom to take care of morning necessities, then grab my phone and walk to the kitchen. I jump when I see Brooke lying on the couch in what looks like a pantsuit. Good morning? Brooke groans. I feel like crap. Weird. Drinking with work friends should make you feel like $1,000,000. She flips me the bird without opening her eyes. I laugh and open the cupboard to get a glass. How late were you out? At least past 2 because I didn't hear her before I went to bed. I don't know, 3? I fill my glass with water and grab a lemon from the fridge. And this is just a friend? Or a group of friends? She forces herself up and I frown. She already has makeup on. Wait, did you sleep there last night? Was that what you wore? Group of friends, and no. I was trying to go to church this morning, but it starts in half an hour and I can't make myself put shoes on. I start a pot of coffee because evangelism begins at home. The machine sputters to life with a dramatic gargle, and Brooke flinches like I've fired a cannon beside her skull. Rachel. Yes, my fragile tulip. Why does this hurt so much now that I'm 30? You're not 30. Okay, I don't need that right now. 31 is pretty much 30. I snort and pull bread from the bag, then pop 2 pieces in the toaster. I find the peanut butter and honey in the cupboard and set it on the counter, ready to go. The coffee maker finishes, and I pour us both a cup. I carry a mug of coffee to the couch and set it on the table. Drink. Brooke cracks one eye open. Does it come with aspirin? Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to snort that. Don't make me laugh. She claps a hand to her forehead and reaches for the coffee with the other. Why are you so chipper? Because I texted Jake until 2 in the morning. Her eyes fly wide. About what? Nothing. Everything. The toaster dings and I walk back into the kitchen. Toasted bread is one of my favorite smells. Not quite as good as baking it fresh, but pretty darn close. I want to see. The texts? She nods, then winces and takes another sip of coffee. You said 0%. What? When I asked whether he was into you. Right. Maybe we're up to 10%. I really hope it's higher than that because this is very much becoming a massive crush. Peanut butter? Yes, please. She doesn't move her head this time. I spread the peanut butter and drizzle the honey, then take the plate and my phone over to the couch. I'm about to pull up my messages with Jake when I get distracted by a text from Sam. Tell me about this water fight. I frown, staring at her message. Brooke looks over my shoulder. What is she talking about? I have no idea. I start to text back when another text comes through, this time from Justin. I told Sam she has to look at me like the fireman looks at you. What the hell is happening? Justin only saw Jake at Smash Point and the grocery store when, in both places, he looked like I just kicked his dog. What is... I start. And then it hits. I flip over to Instagram and switch to the StriveLab account. Brooke makes a noise when I pull up the reel I made last night, and we both see the little white numbers. 94,000 views. In 2 hours. I knew it would do well, but damn. I click on the comments. I need 400 more episodes of this immediately. The grumpy firefighter? Ma'am. Her energy is everything. More Rachel classes, please. Firehouse series when? I stare at the screen. Rachel, Brooke says. I know. No, Rachel. She points at Jake. I know. I should probably tell her how many times I watched this before posting. I jump when a call comes through. I don't recognize the number, but my thumb hits the green button before I can decide whether to send it to voicemail. Hello? Hi, Rachel. It's Molly from Strive Lab. Do you have a minute? Chapter 10. Justin's at the desk when I walk into Smash Point on Sunday afternoon. As soon as he sees me, he holds up a paddle like it's a microphone. You signing autographs? Can I Venmo you now for a photo? I point at him. I will leave. He laughs and jogs over, looping an arm around my shoulders, steering me inside like I've just arrived at my own surprise party, which, based on the way heads turn as we walk, might not be far off. This doesn't get you out of doing the lost and found. Oh my gosh, I told your mom I'd do it this week. Justin grabs a basket of balls from the back room, then walks with me to courts 8 and 9, where I'm going to be running a junior class in 20 minutes. Smash Point is packed. It's always on the weekends, but today there's a fundraiser with a local college team, so people are gathered in the aisle watching the matches. Carrie's in the middle of a private lesson with her coach on court 8, but as soon as she sees me, she gives me a look that says she knows everything that's happened this morning. I always tag Smash Point in my posts since I teach here, but typically only about 15 people from the club see my content. I find myself second-guessing everything. Sure, Louis said I could post photos and video, but did he understand how much visibility it could get? Did I tag the right firehouse? I should have asked Jake last night. Could have asked him about photos of Colton too, but I was too distracted by the fact that he was texting me at all. Elena's going to be all over this, Justin says. It's weird when you call your mom by her first name. What else should I say? Mom? Mommy? I elbow him. What do you mean she'll be all over this? She's going to want Jake and his guys here at the club. I guarantee it. An emergency responder rotating partners charity tournament or something. I sit on the bench and consider that. It's not a bad idea. Aren't police officers and firefighters always looking to participate in community events? It boosts their image, makes kids more comfortable asking them for help. It could be a win-win. Has Strive Lab contacted you yet? Justin asks. Yep. And? I don't want to talk about it. Okay. Justin sits down next to me. What's Sam up to today? You're really not going to tell me? They want to do a series, I hiss. Me teaching the firemen how to play. His eyes widen and he purses his lips. Exactly. I've got some great name ideas. I'm sure you do. Serve, volley, and harass a first responder, he says. With Rachel McLean, gotta get my name in there for branding. Justin nods, taking the note seriously. Drilling the firefighters with Rachel McLean. I guffaw, then clap a hand over my mouth when Carrie looks our direction. Working the hose line with Rachel McLean. I can't stop laughing, and I know that's only going to egg him on. Grip strength, rhythm, and stop! I smack him, trying to suck in a breath. I swipe at my eyes. You're a terrible person. Well, I'm not the one exploiting servants of the public good for views, so... I try to smack him again, but this time he dodges. Excuse me, miss, is this man bothering you? Carrie leans on the fence. I nod, still trying to mop up the tears on my face. Carrie points her paddle at Justin. Be nice to her. She's in a very confusing situation. Thank you. I jump up to give Carrie a hug. That video was hot, she whispers. I pull back. It wasn't supposed to be hot. It was supposed to be fun. And yeah, sorry, babe, it was hot. The way he looked at you, my heart flip-flops. You saw that too? Saw what? Justin's resting his head on his hands, looking up at us like a puppy waiting to be fed. The fireman, Carrie mouths. And before Justin can say anything, I blurt, he texted me last night. That's all it takes for Carrie to tell her instructor she's done for the day, and I fill them both in. It feels like I'm in high school again, meeting up with my friends on the bleachers and spilling the day's tea. Surprisingly, Justin doesn't have any zingers for me when I admit that this little crush I have on Jake is becoming a problem. I know too much about him and not enough about him, I finish, spotting my first students walking through the door with their parents. And I wonder if I'm only interested because he's hard to crack. You know? Like I'm more interested in the puzzle. Puzzles aren't the problem, Carrie says. That's why I got divorced. I finally figured that one out. I nod, stepping back and smoothing my tennis skirt. I don't want to look like a mess when I greet my families. Right. Maybe this puzzle can be fun, and if I realize I don't like the picture, it's fine. I can just enjoy the process? Exactly. Carrie takes her sweatshirt off the fence, then reaches in the pocket and pulls something out. She hands me a $20 bill. Buy yourself something pretty. I want to ask her about what she saw on Nick's forbidden socials last night, but I'm not sure she's shared those details with Justin. A conversation for later. I take the 20, knowing full well I'm going to sneak it back into her bag before she leaves. Justin's looking at his phone, completely missing the exchange. And I'm sure if Strive Lab did a class series, it would all be above board. They'd have to get approval from the firehouse. My eyes narrow. That was a helpful comment. He looks up. I can be helpful. He pats my shoulder and jogs off toward the front. I give Carrie a look, but she only shrugs. The juniors workshop saves me. Kids don't care about viral content or work conflicts. They care about whether they can hit the ball over the net and if I'll let them do trick shots at the end of class. Eyes on the ball, not your friend, I call, clapping once as a cluster of 10-year-olds dissolves into giggles. I was looking at the ball, Avery insists. You were looking at Ethan making faces, I counter. Ethan grins, entirely unrepentant. Okay, I say, bouncing a ball on my paddle. Reset, ready position, knees bent, let's go again. Kids and Daryl's. The best distractions. By the time we wrap, my brain feels manageable. Can we do smashes next time? Megan asks, eyes bright. Only if you promise not to aim for my head, I say. Deal. They scatter, their parents collecting them one by one. I stack paddles, gather stray balls, and dump them into the basket. Avery insists on helping me, even though her mom is waiting at the fence. After chatting with a few parents, I push the basket out the gate and head toward the back room. It's that long walk that allows the rest of my life to start crowding back in. I should say yes to Strive Lab. That's what Justin was suggesting, wasn't it? If Molly approaches the fire chief or whoever's in charge and they say no, then that's that. If they say yes, then they must be okay with the whole thing. And she did mention contracts, so maybe it would be extra money for them? A win-win? I nudge the equipment door open with my hip. It swings wide. Then nearly smacks into my body because I don't push the basket another inch. A hand catches the door before it cracks against my shoulder. Jake's hand. He's standing in the back room with an armful of dirty t-shirts. Oh, hey. Chapter 11. Oh, hey? What even is that? What in the world? Are you going to? Jake asks when I haven't moved for a good 10 seconds. I push the basket into the room and close the door in a rush. What are you doing here? I'm not upset, though I realize after the words leave my mouth that it might sound that way. I'm just extremely confused. Why is Jake in the back room sorting through the lost and found items? Then something logical clicks. Did Colton forget something? I don't think he had anything with him when he was at his lesson, but maybe I missed it. Jake frowns and looks down at the clothes in his hands. No. Justin let me in. And I'm back at square one. That's not helping make sense of what's happening right now. Jake draws a breath, and his face flushes a little. I was talking with Justin, and since when do you talk with Justin? Again, a little accusatory, but it can't be helped. Since he got my number the other day when I was here with Colton. My eyes flare. He got your number? Why? So we could talk? I squinch my eyes shut, my heart starting to pound. So they could. Okay, just breathe. Justin likes to mess with me, so obviously this is just him playing some kind of prank. Justin's my Daryl, I blurt. What? I push the cart into place and hang up the ball collector. He's basically family, like a very annoying but charming older brother, so I'm sorry he asked for your number. He probably thought it was funny, and if he says anything about me, I asked him about paddles. For Colton. He was sending me some options. I snap my mouth closed. Well, that made more sense. My cheeks burn. Oh, okay. Okay. Jake walks back to a series of piles on the concrete floor. I asked him if there was anything I could do to help you, to thank you for taking Colton home. He said your faucet was already fixed. And back to the illogical. I blink, confused. You already said thank you. Jake drops a t-shirt in the t-shirt pile. Are you arranging those by size? I am, should I not? My heart warms, despite my brain short-circuiting. No, it's above and beyond. I walk closer and pick up a pile, surprised that any dread connected to this task has completely fled. You're not working today? He shakes his head. Got off at 8. This morning? I give him a horrified look and his mouth twitches. You know it wasn't 8 last night. The way he says it, like we have a secret, makes me feel like butterflies are trapped inside my ribcage. But then you haven't slept. I got a little. He looks away, and just like that, the moment's gone. I clear my throat. After your other call? He nods and drops 2 mismatched socks in the sock pile. I wrinkle my nose. That's why I didn't want to do this. The socks? Yes, the socks. Those kids smell like they surprised a skunk, and that's before we start running around. Jake grins, and the butterflies inside me evolve into hummingbirds. You wouldn't like our place then. The words you and our place eclipse anything else in that sentence. No? My pulse slams in my throat. Colton leaves socks everywhere. I don't even try to match them anymore. All I hear in that exchange is that this man does laundry. When I dated Trey, he asked if he could come to my place to do his laundry when his complex's machines were down. He showed up with a basket, dropped it in my kitchen, and plopped down on the couch, then asked how long it would take. I grab an empty Vulcan ball box that hasn't been broken down yet and start sorting water bottles. How did you know Daryl was family? Jake asks. One of the hydro flasks drops from my hand and hits the concrete. It sounds like a cowbell when it hits the floor. Sorry. I snatch it up and inspect the dent on the bottom. It's one of about 12, so I don't feel too bad besides the hearing damage I just caused. Colton called him uncle on Saturday. I'm tempted to stop there, but Jake is sorting through dirty clothes for me right now. I decide to take a risk. And I saw the family photo when I dropped Colton off. A muscle in Jake's jaw jumps. He told me you went inside. Just to the entry, to get my cookies. I'm worried I overstepped. Jake was comfortable with me driving his son home, but did he want some random pickleball instructor looking at his family photos? Cheryl wished you had stayed. Cheryl? Jake nods his head. Caroline's mom. Grandma. Right. She's sweet. She gets lonely. I nod and pick up another group of water bottles. I'm sure she loves having Colton around. Yeah. He exhales and crouches to unearth a sweatshirt that looks like it was dunked in chocolate milk. It's not the same. She and Caroline were really close. My mouth gets dry as I consider what to say next. The topic has been breached, and my curiosity itches like a hive. What happened? When he frowns, I start to backtrack. You don't have to tell me. No, that's okay. I haven't told someone new in a while. I can't remember how I used to do it. It's like he jammed a wedge straight into the crack in my heart and opened it up another inch. Carrie talked about that once. How when she got divorced after her husband had an affair, she had to be the one to give the news to her friends and family gently, like they were the ones who needed comforting instead of the other way around. You can give it to me straight, I say. If he's willing to share, the last thing I want him to worry about is my feelings. He turns to face me, and after a slight hesitation, says, She was hit by a drunk driver. Died within 10 minutes before emergency responders arrived. Before I can process and respond, he adds, Colton was in the back seat. Barely a scratch on him. Holy shit. I flash back to the conversation at the firehouse, Colton asking his dad about the people in the crash on the highway. Knowing this, I replay the scene through a completely different lens. The urge to say something inspiring or somehow reassure him that it will be okay hits, but I swallow it. I hate when people do that. Sure, People are resilient and time does dull old wounds, but telling someone to look at the bright side is almost never the right answer in my experience, even though I tend to be a bright side person. That absolutely blows, I say. The world really sucks sometimes. Jake huffs a laugh. Yep. And then I remember what Carrie said a couple of years after her divorce, when the worst of it had died down, when she was supposed to be okay, but very much wasn't. Whenever someone brings him up, they talk about what a dick he was, so I can't ever talk about how much I miss him. Divorce and death aren't the same thing. But I wonder if, in all the sending thoughts and prayers and I'm so sorry for your losses, Jake feels the same. What do you miss about her most? I ask, picking up the box of bottles and moving them with a grunt to sit next to the door. Jake's quiet for a moment, and I worry that was the exact wrong thing to say. Then he answers, the way she looked at me when I got home, like everything was whole again. His jaw works. I can't help it when a smile curves my lips. It's the sweetest thing I've ever heard. And while I know that answer is laced with grief, it gives me hope to know that a relationship like that existed, that maybe it could exist again. For me, for Jake, for everyone I care about. Jake's mouth tips up at the edges. I realize I'm staring, and my pulse rushes. What? He wets his lips. Nobody ever asks me that. Never? After a moment that feels like a century, he shakes his head and dumps out the last box of unsorted clothes. They don't want to make me sad. Well, I love making you sad, so... Jake laughs out loud, and the rush it gives makes me dizzy. He sighs, and then silence stretches between us. Unlike at the firehouse, there aren't any kids or Darryls to give me an easy conversation out. Oh, Jake says, reaching into his pocket. He pulls out a card and hands it to me. I read the title. Butter and Batch. $40. Is this? I almost fall into one of the shelves when the door behind me swings open with a bang. Hey, Rach. Justin stops short, finding me panting and clutching the cookie gift card to my chest. You scared the crap out of me. I fight to catch my breath. Jake brought me the cookie gift card. How did he pry it from Daryl's hands when we didn't even have a championship? Justin grins, then looks up at Jake. Found everything okay? Jake nods. Yep. Is that a smirk on his lips? I still can't believe Justin didn't say a damn word when we were talking by the courts with Carrie. Justin turns to me with an apologetic smile and holds up my phone. I pat my pockets as if I don't believe the proof right in front of my face that I left it out by the courts. You've missed about 10 phone calls from Strive Lab. Thought it might be important. I grab for it and check the notifications. Sure enough. Thank you. I think... Before I can explain, another call comes through. This one's direct from Molly's cell. I step toward the open door, but Justin doesn't take the hint to move so I can exit. The call's going to go to voicemail, so I shove the gift card in my skirt pocket and answer. Hello? Hey, Rachel, just calling back. We've got everything in place to move forward with this. I'm sorry to nag, but we'd really love to get an answer from you. What, has it been 4 hours? I look between Justin and Jake. This isn't the best time. Can I call you back? And the thing is, the fire chief is catching a flight tonight. Some leadership summit in Vegas, and we need to strike while the iron is hot. Molly continues on, but I'm distracted by Jake's phone ringing. Hey, everything okay? Jake lowers his voice and turns away from me. His shoulders tighten, and I'm already taking stabs at who he's talking to. Is it Cheryl? Is Colton okay? Or does that make sense? Molly finishes. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what I just agreed to. I know you have some concerns. If the fire chief is in, I'm in, I say, and Jake glances over his shoulder. His brows are furrowed. Who's on the other end of that call? Molly laughs. Fantastic. All right, I'll be in touch. Watch your email. Might be easier for me to update you there since I'm expecting there to be a bit of paperwork. These classes are going to be huge. Well, whatever paperwork she sends, I'll definitely be negotiating for a higher pay rate. Sounds good. Thanks. The call ends as Jake takes a few steps toward me. He holds out his phone. It's Daryl. He wants to talk to you. My face squinches. Daryl? Did Molly already have someone dialing the firehouse while we were talking? But why would Daryl be involved? I take the phone from Jake's hand, and his fingers brush over mine. The shiver is completely involuntary, but so obvious, I'm positive Justin spotted it from the doorway. Hello? I press the phone to my ear, and it feels strange in my hands. His case is less rounded than mine. A little slimmer, too. I'm holding his phone. He touched my hand. My thoughts have reverted to high school lizard brain, and again I'm in awe. I like him. I want him. I'm so grateful for the sheer excitement of it. My eyes prick. Hey, Rachel. Daryl's smile is audible. I heard Jake was over there, and since I didn't have your number, I figured I'd try him before calling the main Smashpoint social line. Right. Focus. Talking to Daryl. Oh, yeah? What do you need? If Molly did call, was she asking him to get in touch with the chief? Do extra work when he was on shift? He chuckles. It's not really a need, more of an ask. I'm sorry about all of this, I blurt. I had no idea it was going to go viral or that Strive Lab would consider doing anything about it, and I know you're working, so… What? He cuts me off. What went viral? Jake stares at me, the confusion in Daryl's voice written all over his face. I blink. Wait, what were you going to ask? Justin walks into the room and nudges Jake, motioning to his phone. I shake my head, but he ignores me. They haven't seen it. Jake and Daryl have no idea I posted the video or that they're featured in it. He drags in a breath. I wanted to invite you to come to the fireman's ball with me this Friday night. Mikey's taking Brooke, so I thought it would be fun to go together, as a group. It's a charity event where… Blood rushes in my ears as Jake's frown deepens. Then his eyes widen at what I can only assume is the view counter at the bottom of the video Justin just played for him. So, what do you think? Free food and a great cause? Daryl pauses, waiting for my answer. Sure. Yes, that sounds great. I'd be happy to. I don't catch all the details, but I have zero plans for the weekend besides teaching my classes on Saturday. Plus, showing up for a community fundraiser was always the right choice, wasn't it? Perfect. Brooke can give you more details, but we'll pick you both up at 6. Sounds great. Thanks for the invite. Talk soon. Jake looks up as I drop the phone. His eyes are guarded. Invite? I nod, handing it back to him. Yeah, he invited me to the fireman's ball this weekend. I say it like a question, like I'm asking for Jake's permission or approval, so I repeat myself. The ball. It's for a great cause, so I figured, why not, right? I parrot Daryl's words even though I have no idea what causes we'll be supporting. With Daryl? Jake's expression clouds. Yes? I take a breath, my pulse racing again. Why was I so nervous to tell him? I didn't do anything wrong. He invited me to a charity event, and there was no reason for me to say no. Jake certainly hadn't invited me. I straighten. I mean, yes, with Daryl and Brooke and Mikey. Will you be there? Jake gives a single nod and steps back from Justin, who's still standing there with his phone out. I didn't realize he'd be back. Daryl? He's going to a leadership training. My eyes widen. He's going to be gone? Molly just said that they had to move on this because… Daryl's the fire chief? Yes. Why were you talking about him on your other call? I groan and lean against the shelves. Justin drops his phone in his pocket and backtracks to the door. Looks like we're all good here, so I'm going to… I shoot him a look, and he scurries out into the hall, slamming the door behind him. What's going on with Strive Lab? Jake asks. I purse my lips, but before I can answer, Jake's phone starts to ring again. I glimpse the screen and see Daryl's name on the display. I think you're about to find out. Chapter 12. On Tuesday, I'm at the firehouse court by 6 p.m. with Chris, the videographer Strive Lab sent to film the segments, along with 2 clip-on Bluetooth mics, a tripod, and a shot list that has already absorbed enough of my nervous sweat to qualify as papier-mâché. I thought about making my list on my phone, but since I'm using it to shoot for socials, I opted for notebook pages. My mistake. Luis emerges from the door and strides over. I hear you're our official trainer. Yep, boot camp starts in… I check my watch. 10 minutes. Mikey appears next. Hey. He jogs over and gives me a hug. This looks like a pro setup. He inspects one of Chris's cameras, but I can't tell him any of the specs. Is Brooke coming? He asks. I raise an eyebrow and his cheeks color. What's your situation, Mikey? Brooke was thrilled that I was coming to the ball this weekend, though a little disappointed that Daryl had asked me instead of Jake. I wonder if Jake would have mentioned it if Daryl hadn't. Doubtful, considering his less than thrilled reaction to his brother-in-law extending an invitation. Mikey tells me about how he fixes up cars and volunteers at the Action Center, a community resource for people experiencing food insecurity, in Lakewood on his days off. So far, all I'm seeing for Brooke are green flags. Colton hits a ball against the back brick wall. He's thrilled to be here after school and has already thanked me twice for letting him tag along. The rest of the guys walk out onto the lawn while Chris sets up, and my eyes are drawn straight to Jake. He wears a blue Henley and athletic shorts, but the frown on his face is one I'd associate with discovering mold in a lunchbox. The whole thing is very confusing. One moment he's showing up at Smash Point and sorting clothes for me, but the next, it seems like I'm the last person on the planet he wants near him. Maybe helping out at the club really was exactly what he said. He owed me. Now we're even. But that doesn't explain texting until 2 a.m. Unless that was what he said it was too. A distraction while Daryl cooked dinner. Let's go, Cal says, already stretching. This group is off shift, and I'm not sure exactly what Strive Lab agreed to, but it must be a good deal for the station because all of them agreed to show up on their day off. My palms start to sweat again. I set my notebook pages on a chair. Okay, here's the plan. We're filming beginner modules for the app. The point is to make pickleball approachable, short drills and lessons with real-life feedback. Mikey raises his hand. You're not in school, Jake mutters. Mikey ignores him. Do you need anything specific from us? No swearing. Luis grunts. I can't promise anything. I point a paddle at him. Don't make me beep you in post-production. I don't even know if it's possible to do that with the editing software Strive Lab uses, but now I kind of hope it happens, so I can find out. I hold up the clip-on mics. We only have 2 of these, so we'll rotate them. Each of you will get a chance. I fade on the last word because Jake is shaking his head. If you want, I finish, snapping on the T. Why is he being such a party pooper? He didn't have to agree to show up today. I could have easily done this with 5 guys instead of 6. My mood sours as I hand Luis the first mic. He clips his to the brim of his baseball cap. I walk past Jake to get my water bottle before we start. You can sit out if this isn't your thing, I say. It's not like I expected him to be a totally different version of himself, but I didn't plan on outright hostility. Can't. I flick up the spout and take a drink. What do you mean you can't? This is optional. Luis chuckles. Not for celebrities, it's not. I frown and he elaborates. Strive Lab specifically asked for Jake. It's in the contract. It takes me a minute, but then I understand. Jake's in the video. After Justin showed him at Smash Point and everything with Daryl happened, we never had a chance to talk about it. Heat crawls up my neck. Last time I checked, the original video had passed 800,000 views. So that's what this attitude is about? He doesn't like that his face is plastered all over the internet? I don't know why your butt hurt, Mikey says. You should read the comments. That makes my skin flush hotter. The comments were complimentary about Jake. Well, mostly about Jake's body. Not that I expect a guy to enjoy being catcalled by strangers on social media, but at least they weren't bullying him. There are 3 words that explain why Jake's here. Mikey points toward the garage bay. New thermal drone. Jake mumbles something under his breath. What's a thermal drone? I ask. It can map heat signatures through smoke in real time, Luis says. The new model has an infrared overlay. We could spot rollover faster. One of the other guys, Bennett, adds. See structural hot zones? Mikey nods. It's a way better camera. Luis grunts his agreement. The old one barely holds a signal past 2 blocks. Okay, so Jake is doing this for the station. Not for me, which is a little disappointing. When I saw his name on the list, a part of me hoped he had a very different why. I'm ready when you are, Chris says. We need to get through 2 segments before the sun goes down, so we'd better get rolling. I take a look at my notes, then ask everyone to quiet down for a quick recorded introduction. When the mic is clipped to my collar and Chris gives me the go-ahead, I look into the camera and say, one of the hardest shots for beginner and intermediate players is the reset, specifically from the transition zone. I walk toward midcourt, tapping the no volley line with my paddle. Many players think resets are about touch, but they're not. Resets are about absorption. I motion for Mikey to join me on the court. Based on how he played on Saturday, he should be the perfect person to demonstrate. I'm going to give Mikey a ball, and he's going to drive it back at me. Mikey nods. I pull a ball from my squirt and send it his way. When he slams it back at me, I block with stiff arms. The ball shoots deep. But because I'm in the middle of the court, not deep enough to be helpful. It gives Mikey an easy offensive shot. Instead of smacking it, he taps it back over so I can grab it. Resets can't be reactive or tense. You have to receive the pace they send you instead of fighting it. I turn back to Mikey. Let's try that again. This time when Mikey drives it, I angle my paddle slightly upward and allow my body to absorb the pace. The paddle cushions instead of punching forward, and the ball arcs low over the net and drops softly into the kitchen. Oh, Luis says from the sideline. Okay, 4 of you up here, we're going to do one of my favorite drills. The guys step up, Jake with Cal, Luis with Mikey. I coach them through a slinky drill where the players on one side of the net move back a step after every shot. It's fantastic practice, resetting from anywhere on the court. I move through and give directions, adjusting their form. When I get to Jake, I say, drop your paddle. Jake stares at me like I've asked him to remove his pants. I laugh and bounce the yellow ball in my palm. He can be in a bad mood if he wants to be, but it's a gorgeous evening and I'm filming. It's a drill, hands only, 2 minutes. You want me to use my hands? I nod. I want you to use your hands. Chris swings the camera around so he can catch both sides of the net. I'm going to feed you. Not a hard drive, so don't worry, I say. You're going to let the ball drop into your hands like you're catching an egg. Then you're going to underhand it back over the net. His mouth twitches. Then he sets his paddle off to the side on the ground and crouches like I'm indicating. Hands soft, like you're about to catch a baby rolling off the couch. Colton laughs. I fell off the couch when I was a baby and he didn't catch me. Jake tenses. If you pay me $20, I'll have Chris edit that out, I tease. Jake grunts, and I hit the ball in a slow looping arc over the net. He catches it. Yes, but don't fully catch it. Just absorb a little of the energy and toss it back over. Here, throw it to me. Jake does, and as the ball lands in my palm, I cradle it for a few split seconds, then use my arm as a lever to loop it back over the net. Jake gets the vision then. We run it 10 more times, and he nails it every single time. I roll my shoulders. Good. Now add the paddle. When he's got his paddle in his hand, I continue. Paddle face open, same idea, soft. You're not blocking the ball, you're cushioning it. The paddle's just an extension of your reach. I hit the ball over, and his touch is like magic. He recognizes the difference, the ease of the shot, and it's the first real smile I get out of him. Careful, you might start enjoying yourself. Jake hits another perfect dink. I am enjoying myself. I tap the ball back. Chris lowers the camera. Hey, hold on a sec, battery issue. Jake grabs the ball and straightens. What's that supposed to mean? What? I approach the net. When I started working with Jake, the other 3 guys were observing. Now they're chatting and not paying us any mind. He motions at me with his paddle. That noise you just made? I lean in and lower my voice. If you're mad about this, I'm not mad. Well, you made it clear you don't want to be here. That's what that sound was. Jake draws in a breath. It's a distraction. Which part? I'm annoyed at that phrase because I've heard it or some iteration of it from my parents more than once. Doing content creation isn't a real job. Even being a pickleball instructor is just something I'm doing on my way to a real career. It wouldn't bother me coming from him if I hadn't gotten my hopes up yesterday, that he might have some interest in me beyond teaching his son how to drive and volley. Behind Jake, Chris stands with his hands on his hips. Huh. I turn. Everything okay? My extra battery was on this chair. Chris stares at the empty seat. I brought the extra because I knew this one was almost drained. I frown and scan the ground, but there's nothing there. Colton was sitting there, Mikey says. Jake and I both look around the backyard, but he's nowhere to be found. Did he go inside? Jake asks. None of the guys seem to know. I don't think he would have grabbed the battery, I say. The rest of Chris's stuff is next to the bay door. Could he have left it there? Chris must recognize my train of thought because he says, I set it right there so I could grab it quick. It was right there 10 minutes ago. Colton! Jake's voice carries across the lawn. He's already moving toward the bay door before I put my paddle down, and I'm 2 steps behind him. Colton is on the floor in front of the open tool chest, sliding a long screwdriver back into its slot. He looks up. What? The battery, bud, from the chair you were sitting on, Jake says. Where is it? Colton's eyes flick to me, then back to the tool chest. I didn't see it. There's something odd about the way he answers, but I can't put my finger on it. It's okay. We can keep looking. Chris leans in. It's not in my bag. Is the other one totally dead? I ask. We only have so much light left, and I need to get this content to Strive Lab. Colton gets up off the floor. Dad, don't you guys have extra chargers? You could just plug the camera in. Chris looks at me and shrugs. It's micro USB. Micro USB? What even was that? Mikey, Colton calls. Mikey ambles in from the lawn. Yo. Do you have a charger that fits Chris's camera? Chris repeats the micro USB information, but Mikey has to take a look to understand what he's talking about. I walk over to get a view, too. Jake huffs. I can look. Mikey scratches his neck. If we have one, it's in the storage closet, maybe? We've got like 2 boxes of old chargers in there on top of the buckets, but he tilts his head toward the port. I don't know if any of them are going to fit that. How about I look? I say, catching up to Jake. You just tell me where it is. I'll do it. Once I see where he's headed, the closet door beneath the stairs at the back of the bay, I hurry ahead of him. You've already done enough. This is our problem, so I'll fix it. Jake doesn't slow even when I pull the door open. You don't know where they are. Mikey said on top of the buckets and, I point, there are 2 boxes. I turn back to face him. I know it's not my fault that he got dragged into all of this. I didn't invite myself to the firehouse in the first place, but he didn't exactly invite me either. And he certainly didn't plan on his face going viral. I feel a little guilty. And while I know finding a charger won't make up for it, I hate the idea of him doing another thing for me. He's holding the door open so there's light, and I reach for the switch. Burnt out. I purse my lips. Okay, so I guess I'd have to accept a little of his help. A little ironic, but... I stop when Jake doesn't smile at my joke, then flip open the top box and... Mikey wasn't kidding. The tangle of cords is intimidating, but I start pulling them out when an idea strikes. Hey, why don't we just put a bucket in front of the door? I drop the ancient white telephone cord and try to drag one of the buckets out, but it weighs 1,000 pounds. What is in here? Just... Jake leans over and grabs a box of something sitting by the door and shoves it in front so it can't swing shut. He bends and walks through. I can barely stand in here without crouching, so Jake has no chance. No, I didn't mean... I start, but Jake says, Stop being stubborn. I'll start on the other box. You're being stubborn. I'm being efficient. Jake pulls open the flaps of the second box, and we both turn at the sound of scraping across the polished concrete. The box Jake put in front of the door slides forward, and the door slams shut, plunging us into darkness. There's a loud smack, and Jake curses under his breath. I try not to laugh, but this is a little bit hilarious. Let me. I put out my hands and walk forward, but all I can feel is the back of Jake's still damp shirt. There isn't enough space in here for me to pass him unless he lets me. I hear him grab the handle, and then there's a snap, more swearing, and a clatter. Jake bends over. Ask me how I know. I yank my hands back, my palms still humming from touching the backside of his jeans. What was that? It's so dark. There's no difference if I open my eyes or close them. The door handle? Jake grunts. What about it? He turns and my hands fly up since I have no visual. They land smack on his chest. His hand circles my wrist and flips it. A cold piece of metal lands in my palm. It's broken. Chapter 13. Neither Jake nor I have to bang on the door to get the guy's attention because Mikey heard the door slam. We hear him twist and yank on the outer handle from the outside. "Mikey, the knob came off in my hand." "That's what she said," someone says, and the guys laugh. Mikey composes himself and says, "Just spinning out here. The spindle must have snapped." Jake is still so close, I can feel the heat radiating off his body. He smells clean, like laundry detergent and some kind of warm spice. Maybe his deodorant? Cologne? Mikey says, "Hold tight, I need a Phillips. Hey, Luis, where's the toolkit?" The voices move away from the door, and I let out a half sigh, half laugh. "We're trapped in a closet with a burnt-out light bulb and a broken door handle. What are the chances of that?" Jake tries to turn and knocks something over. I laugh. "You're like a bull in a china shop. Just—" I grab onto his arms, and Jake's breath catches. "Hold still." The words come out as a whisper because all the hair on my body is standing on end. It feels like when I did a blind obstacle course in college. Without any visual stimulation, every other sense heightens, and I hear and feel everything. Jake's muscles tight under his skin, his shallow breathing, the pounding of his heart, or is it mine? And his slow swallow. The air around us feels viscous. "Are you always like this?" Jake's voice is low and comes from directly above me. Even though I can't see him, I tilt my head up. "Like what?" My hands are still on his arms. I know I should probably move them, but we're crammed together in here and his arms are safe. I don't want to accidentally hit him anywhere else, so I stay put. "Like nothing rains on your parade?" A slow smile spreads across my face. Is that a bad thing? I hope not, because that might be the best compliment I've ever received. "No." My smile widens. I do love that movie. "What movie?" "Funny Girl. Have you not seen it? With Barbara Streisand?" When he doesn't answer, I tell him about the iconic song, "Don't Rain on My Parade," how we watched a local production of it at an outdoor amphitheater when I was a kid, and how I used to sing the main refrain whenever my brother would say something to be a total downer, which happened at least twice a week growing up. "How does it go?" Jake asks. I laugh. "I don't care if we die in here. I'm not singing for you." "That bad?" "Worse." "Now I have to hear it." "Zero chance, but I'll text you Barbara's version." "It's my dying wish." I guffaw, squeezing his arms, and a zing shoots up my thigh as his hand grazes my skin. This is texting Jake, and I love it. I drop my hands and my knuckles brush his. Now I'm the one swallowing hard. All the normal rules of conversation seem to have been erased by the tight quarters and total darkness. There's no way I'd be standing this close to him under normal circumstances, and I definitely wouldn't say, "Okay, where was this version of Jake Graham when we were filming?" Stating his full name feels oddly intimate, and I'm grateful the lights are out so he can't see me blush. Jake draws a full breath and exhales. After a long pause, he says, "Sorry." "You don't have to be sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for any of this to happen, and it's not about you." I pause, not sure how I feel about that statement. I'm glad he's not mad at me, specifically, but also wish that everything in his head was about me. Thinking of Jake, seeing Jake, and especially touching Jake has my stomach doing somersaults, and I want to know if his insides are also on a spin cycle. "Colton's been asking for Instagram," Jake says, then lowers his voice. "Since before the video you posted, but now he's relentless." Oh, that's not at all what I was expecting. I shift and my hip hits something soft. A blanket? I lean into it and Jake somehow moves with me. We end up folding into each other a little. Our shoulders press together, and every time I breathe, the side of my hand touches his. "He's 12, Jake reminds me. No, I get it. I talked with Carrie about social media and her daughter, how dangerous short-form content is for developing brains, not even talking about the messages they could potentially consume on their feeds. Jake continues. "His friends are all talking about the video." "Of you and me?" I think he nods based on the sound of his shirt rubbing against his neck. "They're talking about thirsty comments. I don't know what that means, but—" "Oh, I do," I scoff. And when Jake doesn't respond, I give an explanation. "It means people watching the video think you're hot." "These are high school kids." The commenters aren't. Well, hopefully. Truth be told, there are probably plenty of teenage girls who think Jake's hot. I had the biggest crush on our landscaper growing up. He had to be in his late 20s, but the way he walked around in those faded jeans with his hat on backward doing manual labor, it was mostly a wholesome teenage fantasy. It makes sense, I say. I wouldn't want people talking about a member of my family without me being able to see it. The voices are back outside the door, along with the clatter of metal and something scratching against the wood. Jake grunts. He's 12. So he keeps reminding me. I huff a laugh. Wait, is Colton 12? This gets a rumble from him. The sound reverberates through me like loud bass from a car speaker. I sigh, and my body melts a little more into his side. I don't know. I get that people talk about phones being like heroin or something, but they're not going anywhere. When kids turn 18, are they just going to go from nothing to unlimited phone use and somehow know how to handle it? I pause, considering. I don't know anything about parenting, but I do remember what it felt like to be that age. I felt so grown up. That's the problem. Maybe, but I don't know. If my parents had trusted me and let me make some of those decisions, maybe we'd have a better relationship now. You aren't close? No, I mean, I love them, but I don't know. When I was growing up, they had a lot of fear and not many strategies. So they said no. Sleepovers, a later bedtime on weekends, riding my bike to the corner store 6 blocks from our house. No, every time. And after a few years of that, I figured out the rejection was what hurt. So I stopped asking. Jake is quiet. I'm not saying that's where this goes. I'm just, well, he's still asking, you know? Jake's knuckles brush against mine, and it's like he's tugging on a string tied to my spine, yanking everything inside me from one spot to another. He turns my palm up like he wants to read it, his thumb sweeping once across the lines, landing in the cradle between my thumb and forefinger. My heart is like a kick drum, and I can't hear anything over the rush of blood in my ears until his breath hits the top of my forehead. And then there's a high-pitched ringing. Is he going to kiss me? A dull ache spreads through me, begging for more of whatever this is, wishing he would trail his hand up my arm and... Light! 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 It hits like a flashbulb, and I jerk back, scraping my elbow on the shelf behind me. Mikey fills the doorway, holding a screwdriver overhead like a torch. Behind him, Louise, Cal, and... Colton stands there staring at us and... grinning? I would have thought he'd be at least a little concerned for his dad, but no. He looks almost smug. Jake moves away, careful to keep his head low now that he can see the underside of the stairs, and every cell in my body protests. What just happened? Was Jake really considering moving in for a kiss, or was my head making things up in sensory deprivation? No. Jake took my hand. He traced my lifeline. There was a connection there. So why wasn't he doing something about it? I'll get a new doorknob for this bad boy, Mikey says, just as Colton speaks up. Chris found his battery. My eyes finally adjust. Really? Colton shrugs. I forgot I saw it on the other chair inside, so we don't need a cord. Huh. I could have sworn that between the 6 of us we'd looked almost everywhere. Jake exits the closet, and I follow right behind him. What were you guys doing in there? Colton asks. Looking for the charger, I answer. In the dark? Colton looks skeptical. Well, we were looking until we got locked in. Then it was 7 minutes in heaven, Mikey murmurs, and Jake's eyes snap to his. Mikey holds out his hands. What? What's 7 minutes in heaven? Colton asks, and Jake's lock on Mikey intensifies. It's a game from when your dad was a kid, Cal offers, trying not to laugh. Colton turns to Jake. What's the game? I spin around and walk backward. You two can have that conversation later because we only have 40 minutes of good light left. To the court. Chris is ready with his camera by the time we get back to the lawn. The sun is dropping, the air cooling, the brick wall behind the court turning the color of a warm apricot. We get back into it. Whatever was happening with Jake before the closet is different now. Not gone, but different. We get through the reset module. We get through the dink drill. We get through a third short clip on serve mechanics that wasn't on the shot list, but the light is so good, Chris just wants to keep shooting. By the time the sun is brushing the top of the wall, my notebook is checked off, and Chris is rewinding to a section he wants to run by me. I'm packing the tripod into Chris's case when Colton appears at my elbow. You should stay for dinner. The mention of food makes my stomach growl. It is almost 8 o'clock. Oh, I straighten. That's sweet. No, I should probably head out. Okay. His shoulders dip about 1/4 of an inch. This kid. 1 minute he can be completely standoffish, and the next, an eager puppy with those big brown eyes. Maybe another time? His chin lifts. It's gonna be really good. My dad's cooking. I look up. Jake's 6 feet away, helping Louise pack up the pickleball net. Your dad? I say. I didn't think he was on shift. Mikey's close enough that he's heard the entire exchange and says, he offered to cook since he's off. He's a disgusting cook for a man who looks like that. Disgusting? Last shift, he made gnocchi. From the potato, the whole thing. Intrigued. There's that word again. Jake cooks. He worries about his kids' social media usage. He shows up to earn money for the fire department even when the proposal is causing problems in his personal life. I start. And it's poker night, Mikey adds. Since we're all here, we thought we'd play a few rounds. I don't play poker. Even better. Easier to take your money. Colton grins. It's how they fund the station snack fund. Jake walks over and drops a hand on Colton's shoulder. What's going on? Colton looks up. Rachel wants to stay for dinner since you're cooking. My eyes flare. No, Jake's eyes disarm me. My body remembers exactly what it felt like to be pressed up against him in that closet, and now I have visual cues. What are you making? I ask. Not that it matters. I'd eat microwave pizza or a bowl of cereal with him if he offered. But I'm still not sure I'm reading these signals right. Am I building up whatever this is between Jake and me because it's been so long since I've been this attracted to someone? Am I reading into things because of how I feel when Jake is just trying to be nice? Spaghetti carbonara? I don't think I've ever had that. Colton shrugs and walks past me into the bay. It's my favorite pasta. I guess it's up to you. I purse my lips, trying not to explode when Jake's mouth turns up with a little surprise and a lot of fatherly pride. Mikey holds in his laugh until Colton's halfway up the stairs to the kitchen. Chapter 14. The firehouse kitchen smells like garlic and brown butter. Mikey is already at the table, clipping a napkin under his chin like a Renaissance lord at a feast. 2 new guys stand at the kitchen island. The first is older, silver at the temples, narrow-shouldered and wiry. The second is younger, short and stocky. Diego, the older man says, putting out a hand. Reggie, the stocky one. His handshake could shatter a small dish if he weren't careful. Rachel. They grin, and I wonder if they've been watching my classes too. Behind them, Jake is at the stove. His back is to me. He's moving a wooden spoon in slow circles. Quiet shift so far? Mikey asks, pressing his palms into the countertop. Don't even. Reggie shakes his head, then reaches out and knocks on the wooden cupboard. Diego ignores them and sets a stack of plates beside the stove. Cleared a call earlier today. Older gentleman at the rec center, cardiac event. He's stable. Jake lifts the pan he's been using and pours its contents into the pot next to it. He tosses the pasta, then lifts the pot to the island, setting it on a hot pad. He doesn't have to say anything. That movement is like a cowbell, and everyone in the place converges on the food like locusts. They freeze when Jake holds up a hand. I wonder if he's going to ask us to say grace, but then he grabs a plate and looks up at me. Can I dish you up? I blink. Sure, yes. Jake uses tongs to scoop a large helping of creamy pasta onto the plate while the guys watch like dogs who've spotted a squirrel at the window. Mikey scoffs. She'll eat more than that. He reaches for the tongs, but Jake swats him away. He reaches back into the pot for another scoop. No, that's great. I stop him. It's your only chance, Colton says, like we're about to charge into battle. Okay, maybe. Jake gives me another small scoop, places a fork on the plate, and hands it to me. Thank you, I say. He wets his lips. You're welcome. I understand in the next 10 seconds why Colton issued his warning. The entire pot is practically licked clean by the time I sit down at the long table. The pasta is good. Al dente spaghetti in a brown butter cream sauce with crisp bacon and peas, topped with a little Parmesan from a dish on the table and served alongside a tray of garlicky greens. There's a tomato salad with red onion that Mikey eats half of off the serving spoon. I look at Jake. He hasn't made eye contact with me since he handed me my plate. Mikey nudges me with his elbow. On a 1 to 10. 10, I say without hesitation, and Colton beams at me. I don't know, 8.5. Mikey drops his fork. Maybe 9. Daryl's going to be pissed he missed this, Louise says. Daryl's probably eating at a buffet right now. Reggie leans back in his chair, patting his stomach. Where is his training? I ask. Vegas, they all say at once. Jake's gaze lands on the side of my face the way a sunbeam comes in through the window. I pretend not to notice, even though my whole body goes jittery. The mention of Daryl sends the group into conversation about the fireman's ball that weekend. I stand and start clearing plates, insisting on helping even when the guys try to make me sit back down. I'm rinsing dishes in the sink when I hear Diego say, Big year for Jake. Don't, Jake says. What? He's getting the Henderson, Reggie calls over when he sees me watching. The what? Valor recommendation from the chief. Wow. And you've only been here, what, a few months? I'm trying to make conversation, but it's obvious I said something wrong. All the guys look at me from the table. Jake? He's been here for years, Louise says. I must look confused because Jake says, We just moved up north. I was driving up for my shifts before that. Mikey nods. His sister lives down there? I do the math. Didn't he say he lived in the Springs? That's almost 2 hours each way. Didn't want to pull Colton out of his elementary school, Louise says. Even though my elementary school sucked, Colton says, and the guys laugh. Reggie ruffles his hair. Anyway, the Henderson, he starts again. Jake tries to cut him off, but he talks over him. Jake pulled a kid out of a basement fire in Lohi back in March, pulled. The kid was in a crawl space, not breathing. The structure was coming down. Okay. Jake pushes his chair back. And he went back in and got him. Jake stalks into the kitchen. He spots the washcloth next to the sink and grabs it and starts wiping down the island. That's incredible, I say. But something strange happens inside my chest as I imagine Jake running back into a burning building. I look up and catch Jake watching me. Congratulations. Jake's hand is still on the cloth, but he isn't washing the counter anymore. Rachel's going to see the whole thing, Mikey says. She's Daryl's date. I blink. A date? When he called, it sounded more like an invitation to a group thing, but Mikey goes on. He's got a limo booked and everything. I frown. A limo? Yep, champagne, chocolate, the whole 9 yards. My heart starts to race. Is this a big event? For some reason, I was envisioning showing up at a local church or something, all the guys from the station getting dressed up and having a dance. This sounds like huge. The whole Denver metro area. It's at the Brown Palace Hotel with dancing, the charity portion, then the awards gala. I don't hear the rest of Mikey's description because all I'm thinking about is how I don't own a dress fancy enough for a good steakhouse, let alone an event that justifies booking a limo. And it's this weekend. Dad, are you taking a date? Colton asks, and the guys go silent. I hold my breath. Jake is already scrubbing the countertop like he's trying to get Sharpie out of plastic. Wait, is there dessert? Colton hops up out of his chair. Jake pauses mid-scrub with a look that tells me everything I need to know. Heck yes, there is. I grab my purse from where I set it on the other end of the counter and pull out the Butter and Batch gift card he gave me at Smash Point. We're going to get cookies. Louise barks a laugh. Daryl's going to be so pissed. Chapter 15. Even though I had some warning, the fireman's ball is beyond what I could have imagined. Probably because, like Brooke, the last fancy date I went on was my high school prom, and I've never been in a limo. I honestly thought it wouldn't be worth all the hype, but that was a story I told myself because I'd never been in a limo. I feel like a celebrity as we drink champagne sitting on leather seats without seatbelts behind tinted glass reflecting the LED lights glowing on the roof. Daryl is in his element. He looks beyond handsome in his dress uniform with his hair loose and a bit of a tan after sitting poolside in Vegas. Mikey wears a pair of red Converse with his uniform, and Brooke is absolutely glowing. She found her dress at the third store we went to on Thursday. It's champagne satin with a halter neck and a slit. She did her hair in beach waves, and it's so bouncy and fun. Even I want to run my hands through it. Mikey looks like he's barely resisting. My dress is emerald green, off-shoulder. I bought it in approximately 75 seconds because I couldn't find anything I liked and was already late to cover Justin's 2:30 class. I'm not sure if it's really me. The dress and I haven't been on enough dates together to know. But I think it's flattering because Brooke said "wowza" in the store, and that was enough for me. We pull up to the Brown Palace Hotel and Spa with its stone arches, the glowing canopy over the valet stand, and the uniformed doorman who looks like he's been opening doors since the Roosevelt administration. Daryl and Mikey get out first, then take our hands and guide us inside. We walk down the short hall and jazz spills down from somewhere above us, echoing through the 8-story atrium. The lobby rises in ornate tiers of wrought iron railings and stained glass, all honeyed light and old money grandeur. Marble floors gleam underfoot, and fresh flowers perfume the air so heavily I can taste them. After cocktails and past hors d'oeuvres in the atrium, we make our way to the ballroom for the main event. The carpet swirls under our feet as we find our seats. Daryl hands me a glass of something fizzy from a tray I didn't see arrive, and he's already popped into 3 separate conversations, his hand on my back, guiding me through the room. He's introduced me to at least 10 people, the last being Captain Sykes, who's 60-something, has silver hair, and a daughter whom he's obviously very proud of. Daryl is, I am beginning to understand, very good at fundraisers. Everyone knows him, which makes sense if he's the chief. I smile, sip my drink, and make good conversation, but the whole time I'm scanning the room for Jake. There look to be a few hundred people in this room, give or take, maybe 2/3 of them in some form of dress uniform. They move in loose currents around the bar, the head tables, across the dance floor, and in and out of the doors to the hall where cocktail trays come and go. I look for height, but it turns out that there are a lot of tall firefighters. A man in dress blues passes behind me with a tray of empty glasses, and for a stupid half second, with his hair and breadth of his shoulders, he fools me. My whole body lifts a 1/4 inch off the floor before my brain catches up. Not him. I take another sip of my drink as Daryl leans in. Doing okay? Great. You're squinting. I'm just taking it all in. He raises an eyebrow, and my cheeks flush. Does he know who I'm looking for? Daryl is fundamentally a nice man. He's making this easy, and on any other timeline, I think I'd be having a wonderful night. I can't tell you what shifts because there's nothing visible, nothing I could point at. The light doesn't change, nor the music, and the crowd doesn't part. But the hairs on the back of my neck prick. And suddenly, there he is. Across the ballroom, in a thicket of dress blue uniforms, Jake stands at full height, his head visible above the men around him. There are pins on his chest, and his badge flashes in the light from the chandelier. I think about the man cooking over the stove last Tuesday, with brown butter in his pan, or the man playing pickleball in athletic shorts. But mostly, I think about the man in the dark. My throat thickens. And before I can look away, Jake's eyes lift and meet mine from across the room. For 3 heartbeats, I can't breathe. Then his eyes shift, down the line of my body and straight to the hand at my back. Something in his jaw tightens. Daryl finds my elbow. Hey, there's Jake. Let's go say hello. Excellent. Wonderful. Let's repeat what just happened, only closer together. We pass a sequined woman whose perfume smells like synthetic vanilla, and a clutch of older firefighters guffawing over a shared field story. Then we're at Jake, and the men around him part. Daryl pulls him into a back-clapping hug. There he is. Look at you. They polished you up. Daryl? Captain Sykes was just telling me you're up first after the dessert course. Jake nods. He'd know. Daryl either doesn't notice Jake's standoffish responses or doesn't care. If anything, it seems to make Daryl more gregarious and friendly. I don't know how to greet him. Hi, I say, then put out my hand just as he moves in for a hug. I end up poking his stomach like an idiot. Ha! See? Now you're ready for anything. Whatever secondary arm motion I just did is reminiscent of a swashbuckling sailor, and my face flames. Jake's mouth does the corner thing. Mm-hmm. We stare at each other for a beat, until Daryl has mercy and intercedes. Okay, I think our table is over here, so we'll catch you later. He replaces his hand on the small of my back, and Jake's eyes track the movement. Congratulations, I say. Don't fall on the way up, Daryl adds with a smirk as we weave through the chairs. The press are here. We sit down for dinner, and thankfully, Brooke's on my right. Mikey and Daryl flank us, and then there's an older couple who, we discover, run a candle-making business out of their garage. A waiter places a bread plate in front of us, sets out a small dish of whipped salted butter, and pours wine into our glasses. The water glasses have ice in the shape of perfect cubes. Stop looking at the ice, Brooke says. But how do they make them like that? It's a problem we don't have to solve. The molds must be huge. Brooke chortles. Our dinner unfolds in courses. First is a creamy squash soup. Mikey balks at the color. That's a squash velouté, the candle husband informs us. Mikey looks up. A what? Velouté. A velour? Velouté. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Brooke chokes on her wine. I cough to hide my socially inappropriate laughter, and Daryl looks like he's about to pass a kidney stone. Then I feel another neck prickle. I look up and lock eyes with Jake. I noticed where he sat, near the head table, but I've been trying to keep myself from staring. The man on his left is talking, but it doesn't seem that Jake is entirely listening. I drop my eyes to my squash velouté. For our second course, our waiter sets down small plates of fish. Daryl tells Brooke a story about his mother. Cheryl, my heart squeezes. That turns out to be about a Roomba and a wedding cake. I laugh so hard I do the snort I've been working to hide since the 8th grade. Brooke gasps in mock betrayal. Oh, she only snorts for people she trusts. Daryl beams at me. This is getting pretty serious. Welcome to the inner circle, Brooke says, and I don't correct her. I've only spent time with these guys, twice now? They already feel like family. I look up to see Jake intensely focused on his meal. Part of me wants him to see me having fun at this table, but another part wishes I could rush over and tell him the truth. I didn't know this was a date, and if I had known, I wish you would have been the one to ask me. Instead, I twirl my glass and watch the unnatural ice cubes clink. A short rib arrives under a glass cloche that the server lifts with a tiny flourish, exposing a curl of rosemary smoke that smells exactly like Christmas. Then, dessert is a small molten chocolate situation on a square of slate, dusted with powdered sugar in a stencil of the Denver skyline. Mikey eats his in 2 bites. Brooke eats hers in 17. I'm somewhere in between because, for the 3rd time tonight, I'm barely able to remember what the food tasted like because Jake Graham is looking at me again. This time, he doesn't break first. This time, I don't either. The lights dim by a notch. The live band that's been playing soft background music all night slides into something more upbeat. A few couples remove their napkins from their laps and drift toward the floor. Daryl drops a hand on my arm. Rach, save me from this food coma. Come dance with me. The touch snaps me out of the Jake vortex, and I nod, pushing my chair back. We walk to the dance floor, where Daryl pulls me into a waltz position. I laugh. I'm glad you know what you're doing. Spoiler alert, I don't. My body is pleasantly loose from the food and wine, so I don't especially care that I probably look inexperienced. Thank you so much for inviting me. This has been incredible. Daryl smiles at me. You haven't even seen the best part. Oh, yeah? He leans in, still swaying to the music. Okay, in about 30 seconds, my phone is going to ring. I blink. And I'm going to step off the floor like I have to take it, and Jake is going to come over here. It might take him a second, but he'll definitely come, so just be patient. If you look a little lost, even better. Daryl? He's going to ask if he can step in, and you're going to say yes. I pull back to look at him. What are you talking about? He has a huge smile on his face. Say yes, Rachel. Okay. Daryl pulls me closer. He's had a crush on you for months. He won't admit it, but he lives in a neighborhood across the street from a pickleball club. What? Yeah. He lets that sink in. Jake hasn't talked about a woman since my sister died. and he talks about you. And I know he should be the one telling you this, and I love him, he's the most cautious man on the planet. He's been that way since before he met Caroline, which is how I know this will work. So, when you asked me to come tonight, yeah. You did this whole thing on purpose? Daryl grins. You can say it. I'm the perfect wingman. I open my mouth. Close it. Actually, that's probably Colton. Daryl's phone buzzes and he stops to fish it from his pocket. Colton's in on it? Daryl winks. Ask him what he knows about doorknobs. My eyes flare, and I start to ask another question, but Daryl's already taken the call. Hey! Oh, yeah. He pauses, nodding. I can't hear you. Just a second. He gives me an apologetic smile, then beelines it to the door at the back of the ballroom. I feel like someone took my head and shoved it in a washing machine. Jake has a crush on me? Daryl asked me here as an official wingman act? It's not hard to stand in the middle of the dance floor and look lost because it feels like my head is floating above my body. But the awkwardness of standing alone while couples sway around me soaks in. And even though Daryl told me to stay, I turn and start toward our table. But I only get 2 steps before a hand brushes my shoulder. I look up, and everything inside me stills. Jake looks even better up close, but it's that damn look on his face that undoes me. His jaw works, and just when I wonder if he's going to spin and walk back to his table, he says, "Can I step in?" Chapter 16. Yes. It's more breath than an actual word. Jake holds out a hand, and as I step into him, it's like I'm folding into a warm blanket on a January night. My whole body exhales. And as Jake's hand settles against my back, the first thought I have is that this song is going to end. I send a silent prayer to the stage that this will be the extended version. How was your dinner? I take a drag of his cologne and work to keep my eyes from fluttering closed. Excellent. You? I nod. The food was amazing. We dance in silence a moment, and when I think my heart is going to burst through my chest, I say, "Seems like your conversation was riveting." Jake's whole face changes, and I get another hit. I'll never get sick of surprising him and forcing that curl of his lips. That obvious? I scoff. Absolutely, I was jealous. The whole table was, really. Huh. Seemed like you were having too much fun to notice. Well, I'm a great actress. That makes Jake's smile widen, but a moment later it slips. Are you nervous? I ask. He blows out a puff of air. Not exactly. I wait, wondering if he'll expound on that thought. My patience is rewarded. I don't deserve it, he says. The award, the honor, any of it? I frown. From what the guys said at the firehouse, that's the furthest thing from the truth. We do what we have to do. Anyone else would have gone back in. But they didn't. You did. There have been plenty of times when I didn't. There's weight behind that statement. I look around the room and think of all the conversations he's had tonight. The conversations he's probably had for weeks. The praise, the kind words. He didn't like his guys praising him at the firehouse, and I doubt he'd want to hear it again from me. So I do what I did in the back room at Smash Point and lean in. Tell me about them. Jake's eyes soften. He draws a breath, and then he does. He tells me about a time he hesitated at the door of a structure fire, even though there were reports of someone still inside, and another firefighter pushed in ahead of him, or how he froze on the scene of a multi-car accident after Caroline died. Jake stills after that. The music still plays around us, but we aren't swaying to it. His second hand drops to my waist, and I loop my arms around his neck. His head drops an inch. I was on shift the night she died. My breath catches. I didn't know it was her until I arrived on scene and saw the dark blue Honda. She loved that color. His voice breaks, and I spread my hand over the back of his neck, trying to bring some comfort. We drove as fast as we could, just like we always do, but there was construction, and if I'd known it was her. I don't say anything. There's nothing to say. Whatever I'm thinking, he's probably heard it 1,000 times. It's not your fault. You did everything you could. They told me afterward she was gone within minutes. There was no way we could have gotten there. Nothing any crew on Earth could have done. His jaw clenches. You don't believe it? I was there. I switched that morning with Cal because Cal had a thing with his kid. I should have been off. I should have been home. He drags in a ragged breath. And now they want to give me a plaque for going back into a burning crawl space and pulling out somebody else's son because they don't. They know. Jake, they know. You've spent years working with these guys. I see how they look at Jake, how much respect they have for him. Don't you think they all hesitate? Have moments when they aren't the version of themselves they want to be? I look up at him. Really look. That sadness in his gaze juxtaposed with the laugh lines near his eyes. Jake presses his hands against my hips, moving us again to the beat of the music, and it hits me all at once. Driving 2.5 hours up from the spring so his son didn't have to change schools, saving Mason on the court, sorting clothes in the back room, showing up at the firehouse on his day off because Strive Lab needed his face and the station needed a drone. He is not a single dad who's bad at romance. He's a man who spent the last 2 years trying to make up for a tragedy that he couldn't have fixed if he tried. Hey, look at me, I say. You don't have to be perfect to be admired. That's not. You don't have to earn the right to be valued. And you don't have to save enough people, cook enough dinners, or not screw up your son enough, or anything else to be allowed to be happy. Jake's hands start to tremble. Rachel. Trust me. I've done the math. I tried for years to make up for things my family blamed me for, and it doesn't add up. Then I tried to earn it in my relationships, and that was a hot mess. It will never be enough. Something pulls inside Jake's eyes, fast, like a curtain being drawn open. My heart thrums in my throat. I might be overstepping, but I have to say what I wish someone would have told me when I was most recently in this place with Trey. You don't have to earn love, Jake. But the first person you need to convince is yourself, because nobody else will be able to give it to you if you take it off the table. Or worse, they'll give you what looks like love and you'll be so desperate to accept it, you'll let them drag you deeper than you were before. The song's final notes resolve into a single sustained chord, and then applause rises from the audience. Jake releases me. We step back, and Jake's eyes are glassy. His throat works. Then he nods and turns back to his table. I somehow make it back to my chair on wobbly knees and autopilot. Daryl's there before I sit. He looks at my face, looks at the dance floor, and slides me a glass of water. So, that looked like it went well. I drink the water, but it doesn't feel refreshing. Brooke slides her hand under the tablecloth and holds mine. The program is starting, and my mind blurs through the speeches. I hear about 30% of them. Something about a rescue in Aurora, another fundraiser that I'm sure is a wonderful opportunity. Then a battalion chief introduces the Henderson Award and says Jake's name. The room explodes before he rises. Mikey stands, whooping for his friend, along with every other guy from his team, including Daryl. Jake walks to the stage and takes the plaque, thanking the man who hands it to him. Then he stands at the podium and the room goes still. Thanks, he says, scrubbing a hand over his jaw. I'm bad at this part. I told my brother-in-law I wasn't going to give a speech, and he told me to give one sentence. The people in the room chuckle. I think I can do a little better than that, Jake says. We're all out here doing our best, and the truth is, our best isn't always good enough. But it's pretty damn cool when it is. He pauses, holding up the plaque. I'm still not sure I deserve this, but my best is all I've got, and I'll continue giving it. Jake steps back, and the room erupts with applause a second time. When he leaves the stage, he doesn't walk to his table. He hugs the edge of the room and exits out the back door to the hall. I jump, so straight in my seat, my chair groans. Go, Daryl says, and that's all it takes. I push up and weave through the tables, past a waiter with a tray, and push through the ballroom side door into the hall. Jake is already moving through the doors to the hotel. Jake, I call. He doesn't stop. Jake! I push faster. When he reaches the lobby, he walks straight through the rotating doors. The bellhop at the desk turns his head, but I don't stop. just rush through after him. My heels crack against the concrete, and I pull to a stop, searching the sidewalk. Jake. He's leaning against the wall, his hands shoved in his pockets. I catch my breath, then walk toward him. The brown palace awning glows yellow above the sidewalk, and the air has that early summer feel, more humid than bone dry and pleasant. He doesn't look up when I approach. His eyes are on the seam where the sidewalk meets the curb. Wow, I needed that. His brow twitches. In Germany, they take a digestive walk after a meal, but a good hallway sprint is better. Interval training, you know? My chest warms as his mouth curves at the edges. Good for metabolism, Jake says. Exactly. I don't know what all those losers are still doing in the ballroom. He laughs and looks up. The yellow of the awning catches in his hair, on his badge. A taxi drifts past. You said the thing I've been trying not to say to myself for 2 years, he says. I give him a quizzical look, and he fiddles with the button on his jacket. If I can't fix it, can't make up for it, then... His voice breaks, and he clears his throat. Then how can I keep it from happening again? I take a step closer. It's not that I don't want to be happy. I do. But the happiness... He shakes his head. That's what hurt so much when I lost it. The space between us feels like a physical ache. I move in, wrapping my arms around him and laying my head on his chest. Yeah. What else is there to say? It's all true. How much easier would it be to not care about people, to not let them in, to wander through life alone because then nothing could hurt you? It's a good strategy, I murmur into his jacket. There's just one slight problem. I pull back to look at him. Well, everyone in there is pretty convinced you're brave. He smirks. I think we've covered that. I nod and give an overly dramatic sigh. I know, but who am I supposed to believe? You, one guy, or an entire room of upstanding community service workers? Jake reaches up and brushes a tendril of hair from my cheek. Daryl's an asshole. I laugh, throwing my head back. That's your argument? He wraps an arm around my waist, pulling me flush against his body. He knew exactly what he was doing when he asked you here tonight. My throat thickens. Well, did it work? Jake doesn't answer, just tips my chin up with his finger and kisses me. Chapter 17. Jake is not a single dad who's bad at romance. Jake is the single best kisser I've ever locked lips with, and yes, maybe it has to do with the water fight or the spaghetti carbonara or the feel of him in a dark room. But when his lips move down my throat, my entire body turns to jello. His hands are in my hair, running over the smooth fabric of my dress, and it isn't until someone taps their horn on the street behind me that we both gasp and break apart. Jake laughs, and his forehead drops against mine. His hand stays at my jaw, and we're both breathing like we did more than a hallway sprint after dinner. Sorry, he says. Don't be. I should have. Don't be. He laughs, full-bodied and rich, then twines his fingers with mine. Inside? What? Come back inside with me. He doesn't have to tell me twice. We push back through the rotating doors. The lobby is mostly empty now, just that same bellhop and a couple checking in. I realize the Henderson plaque is still tucked under Jake's arm. I have no idea how it didn't clatter to the street when we did what we just did. My heart races just thinking about it. We make it as far as the hallway before he stops, pulling me to the wall, and I wonder if he's thinking the same thing I am. He's not. Rachel. He looks at me for a long beat. I don't know how to do this. Okay. I've done the therapy and I've tried to pull out of this, but it's been 2 years. He stops and shakes his head. And I have to think about Colton, and I have no idea how to deal with that. No, I get it. And not to sway you in any direction, but I think Colton's more on board with you dating than you think. Jake considers this. He asked about a date for tonight. and I'm pretty sure he broke the doorknob. Jake frowns. What? Daryl mentioned it? That little. Did you find me at Smash Point? When you showed up that first night to ask about lessons? I've been dying to ask that question for weeks. Jake opens his mouth, then closes it. Colton looked it up. Told me you worked there. He pauses, his cheeks flushing. I looked into the club by our house, but you didn't go there. He shakes his head. No, I didn't. A few people exit the ballroom and he turns, shielding me from view. I wish. He draws another deep breath. I'm not where I want to be. The hallway sconces flicker, and through the wall it sounds like the band is back. I'm not where I want to be. I'd said the exact same thing to Justin on the court the other day after I missed my backhand volley for the 5th time. You know what I tell new players? I say. When they come in mad at themselves because they're not getting it, they drill, they take lessons, and then they get in a game and flub it all up. Jake's eyes find mine. I tell them their brain is way ahead of their body. The brain learns in a weekend, but the body has to repeat the same patterns over and over again. New pathways, new muscle memory. You can't just know it. You have to do it. And then one day you're at the kitchen and you realize you're not thinking about it anymore. He swallows. I continue. So you took the classes, but I haven't gotten back in the game. I nod. You're a good therapist. I scoff. I'm not going to be your therapist. He laughs again, and the sound tickles my spine. I love it when you laugh, I say. That makes his eyes dance. And I know we're talking about your things right now, but I have my things too. I hated it when I was going through everything with Trey and my friends were, helpfully, pointing out my blind spots. It felt like it was always me that was the problem. He raises an eyebrow. I know. You thought I was perfect, and now I'm destroying the illusion. Jake leans in, brushing the barely there stubble of his jaw against my cheek. It's like that half dance was a green light, and the kiss on the street was a lead foot on the gas pedal. Now that he's had his hands on me, he can't stop. I'm going to get Daryl a new gift card. So, what's one of your things? Jake asks. You don't know? He smiles against my cheek. I thought you were perfect, remember? Ugh, why did I say anything? He nips at my earlobe and I laugh. Okay. I push against his chest, but he holds me tight. I don't like when people help me. He huffs a breath. Yeah, okay. I did know that. You did not. You looked like you caught me sorting through your underwear drawer when you found me in the back room at the club. Yeah, well, it's my thing. I get weird. He presses a soft kiss to my neck, then pulls back to look at me. Okay. His jaw sets like he's decided something. Okay? He nods. So we practice. Right. Starting now. He kisses me one last time and drags me back into the ballroom. Chapter 18. Mid-June. I try to hug Jake when I open my door, but he puts out a hand and pokes me in the stomach. My jaw drops. How dare you? Isn't that your preferred greeting? I launch into his arms and almost tackle him into the opposite hallway wall. My cheeks hurt from laughing by the time we get in the car, and it's only the beginning. I don't understand, Jake says after I explain the activity for the evening. Cherry Creek. I pull on to I-25. We're going to walk Fillmore. We're going to look at $4,000 coffee tables. We're going to drink an $11 glass of wine on a patio, and our names are Penelope and Bryson. Penelope Lark Whitaker. Hyphenated? Of course hyphenated, Jake. Penelope was a lark before she met Bryson, and she retained her family name for the art consultancy. There's an art consultancy? Obviously. Bryson is in fractional jets. What does that even mean? It means he's into efficiency, Jake. Don't make him explain it. He finds it gauche. The corner of his mouth has, against his better wishes, begun to twitch. What's our backstory? We met at a charity gala for a cause neither of us remembers. You were bidding against me on a Rothko-adjacent unsigned canvas. I'm not going to remember that. You won, but then you gave it to me because, and this is the part I love, you could. I would never give up a Rothko-adjacent. I laugh. He totally remembered the name. That's because you're Jake. Bryson would. Bryson has 7. Chapter 19. Late June. The cooler bites into my hip. Colton is sprinting toward the water with his paddleboard over his head like a man storming the beaches of Normandy. Aiden, Colton's friend from middle school, last name unknown, already has Cheeto dust on his cheek and sprints behind him with a pool noodle that has bite marks from human teeth. Jake and I haul our inflated boards over to a picnic table. I can't believe we've never come out here. I survey the beach and the sparkling blue water. Colorado isn't known for its lakes, but the Aurora Reservoir is one of my family's favorites. Aiden, 8 steps into the water, sets his paddle on his board, and cannonballs into the lake. Colton attempts to stand up from kneeling and yard sails off the back of the board into the water next to him. I snort, and Jake loses his ever-loving mind. Ha! I heard that. I'm texting Daryl. It was a cough. I heard it. I'm in the club. I grin as Jake pulls out his phone. Daryl's been rubbing that in his face since the fireman's ball. I tried to tell him that it was a joke. It wasn't even a thing until Brooke made it one, but he didn't believe me. Jake drops the phone. So what happens now? Do you tell me all your dirty secrets? You wish. We set our lunch and water bottles in the shade, then sunscreen up and get out on the water with the boys, who are racing across the lake. They're far enough away that their voices blend in with the rest of the squealing children back on the beach. Jake paddles up beside me, and we drift. The reservoir is glass. A fish jumps somewhere off to our right, and the rings move in slow, expanding circles until they flare against our boards. Hey, Jake says. Hey. Come here. I am here. I look up and smirk. He closes the foot of distance between our boards by hooking his paddle around mine and pulling. He catches the front of my board. I've always loved Jake with his shirt off, but in the sunshine with a little water splashed on his skin, perfection. He hooks a finger under the side of my bikini bottom, and I lean as far as I can, but I can't quite kiss him. Gross! Colton shouts, and I almost flip off my board. Aiden saw that, by the way. Colton, shut up! Jake runs his hand down my thigh, then gives me a shove. Race you to the buoys. Chapter 20. Early July. When the doorbell rings, I'm sitting on the couch in a hoodie I think is Brooke's, with a Kleenex physically lodged in my nostril, watching the same episode of Schitt's Creek for the 4th time because the remote is across the room. Brooke! I call. She doesn't answer, and I hear water running, probably in the shower. I have no idea who's there, but I'm not going to answer it. After a few minutes, I assume whoever stopped by has gone. But then Brooke rushes out into the living room in a towel and a face mask and whips it open. Through the door comes Jake, holding a container of what looks like soup based on the way it sloshes inside the glass, and a grocery bag. I yank the Kleenex out of my nose. I told you not to. Get in the game, Rach, he says. But I'm fine. He shakes his head and says, I don't care. Then walks in like he owns the place. This is your one day off, I call when he starts rustling around in the kitchen. And I don't want to get you sick. Jake ignores me. When he reappears, he has a bowl of soup and a spoon in one hand and a green smoothie in the other. He sets it on the coffee table, then sits next to me and pulls my legs over his. I try to shift so my face is farther from his, but he won't let me. Eat. I sniffle. But I'm not leaving. We can sit like this all night if you want, but the soup is going to get cold. His jaw is set. It's obvious I'm not winning this one, so I eat. The soup is delicious. Did you make this? Cheryl did. That's when I start crying. Hey, he rubs my back. Why are you crying? Because this is so nice. Jake looks flummoxed. I explain in a rush. Because now I know that this could be how I'm sick every time. with you showing up with Cheryl's soup, and then what if it stops? What if this doesn't happen again and I go back to being sick alone and then I'm disappointed forever? Jake laughs, and it takes me a minute, but I realize that's almost exactly what he said to me at the fireman's ball. He didn't want to be happy and lose it again. So, maybe our things weren't all that different after all. Oh, I say. Jake takes my soup bowl and sets it on the table. He cups my face, his thumb sweeping over my cheekbone. You don't have to go back. Yeah, you say that now, but I love you, Rachel. It feels like I've been hit with a taser. I'm sitting here on the couch with snotty Kleenex on the table, and this is the moment he says, I love you, and I'm not going to let you go back to being sick alone. My face screws up, and tears stream down my cheeks. I love you too. He leans in, but I stiff-arm him. This is all snot, Jake. Don't. He grabs my arm and kisses me on the forehead. No snot. I gaze at him through watery eyes. That was the one spot. I know. Chapter 21. Mid-July. The St. Vrain runs along the back of the Rocky Grass Bluegrass Festival grounds in Lyons, and Jake and I walk down to it after the second set to put our feet in. The water isn't glacier runoff cold. It may have started that way, but the river's too shallow this year to stay chilly for long. Still, it's more than refreshing. A man across the way is playing a mandolin in a folding chair. A small dog in a paisley bandana is asleep on the sandstone next to him. The sun is at the exact right angle on the canyon walls behind us, the rocks turning rust and gold while the cottonwood leaves flutter in the light. You're happy, Jake says. How could I not be? I grin at him, holding my cropped jeans up higher so they don't get splashed. Are you happy? You already know the answer to that. We climb back up the path and pick up dinner before heading back to our seats for the headliner. I've never had the opportunity to be into bluegrass, but it's Jake's favorite music. I'm quickly becoming a fan. The band sets up and we cuddle into our chairs and blankets as the sun dips below the mountains. We eat our tacos out of paper baskets. I tell him about the time I drove to Lyons in college to skip a final, and he tells me about how Rocky Grass 5 years ago was Colton's first concert. I love it when he talks about Caroline, about their life together. Maybe a part of me should be jealous that she had Jake before I did, but I can't get there. I'm falling in love with him, and I'm just grateful that someone else saw how incredible he is and loved him too. The stars come out. A string of bulbs along the riverbank flicks on. The fiddle player takes a long, slow run up the neck, like he's climbing a staircase with his fingers, and at the top of it, the whole band drops in behind. I lean back against Jake's chest. He wraps an arm around me and pulls me in. It's my favorite place in the whole universe. I run my finger over Jake's shirt, tracing the first EKG line that lies on his chest under the fabric. Colton, I whisper. Mm-hmm. I move my finger down and trace the second. After a few moments, Jake reaches up. He lifts my hand, guiding my forefinger to his temple. You're right here. He holds it a second, then drags my finger to his lip and kisses it. And here. Lastly, he drops my hand back to his heart. And here. My eyes prick. You don't have to get another tattoo. Jake's laugh rumbles through me. He smooths his palm over my cheek. I love you, Rach. I kiss the inside of his wrist and grin up at him, thankful that this time I'm not covered in snot. Chapter 22. Late July. It's the N, Brooke calls from the top of the ladder. She decided there needed to be a banner for the tournament this weekend, but the letters keep sliding. Just get down, it's fine. But nobody's going to notice. She blows out a breath and finally climbs back down the ladder. Behind me, the doors swing. 2 firefighters carry in a folding table. 2 pickleball juniors carry in another. They meet in the middle of the lobby where Colton's setting up a cornhole game. The food comes out at 10. Cheryl arrives with 3 trays of rolls, and Daryl forces her to let him help her carry them from the car. Elena sets up the coffee near the front desk, along with a sign for the nonprofit we're raising money for today. Station 48 insisted that none of the proceeds should go to them. considering all the royalties they're getting from the pickleball classes we did. The matches start at 11. Firefighters versus pickleball regulars, 6 courts, alternating teams, 15-minute games to 11. The proceeds today benefit to Sarah, a nonprofit out of Inglewood that runs weekend programs for kids who have lost a parent. Colton did to Sarah on Saturdays for a year and a half. The flyer at our intake table is a picture of him in a green t-shirt holding a paintbrush, onto which Colton has drawn a tiny mustache. I look across the lobby. Brooke has Mikey up on the ladder now, and he's successfully fixed her N. When he returns to the earth, she grabs his face and kisses him. Hey, Alicia bumps me with her hip. Is the firefighter here yet? I laugh and gesture to the crew. There are plenty of firefighters. Justin still calls Jake the firefighter whenever he can, and it's kind of caught on. Jake sometimes calls himself that in third person. But no, he'll be here in a... I freeze mid-sentence, my eyes widening. I'm sorry, is that? Alicia dances on her feet as I grab her left hand. She's wearing a thin gold band with a glittering opal. When did he ask you? Last weekend? She looks so happy she can barely contain herself. I'll tell you all about it and show you pics later, but I need you to know about Carrie. I frown, glancing around, and realize I haven't seen her yet. Is she okay? Theoretically. Did you see the roster for the back-to-school tourney? I saw it was live, but I hadn't taken a deep dive since there wasn't a junior component. I shake my head. Alicia leans in. Calderer was looking at the brackets, and guess who signed up for the 4.5 to 5.0? My stomach drops. Not Nick. Nick. I blow out a breath. Well, that sucks. Carrie's helping run that here at Smash Point. She's going to be there the whole weekend. I'm already thinking of ways we can get her out of it. Alicia pats the counter. But maybe text her? I nod. Absolutely. I pull out my phone and tap out a quick message. Right as I press send, the doors in front of me open and in walks the firefighter. He's wearing his turnouts and suspenders pulled up over a navy t-shirt with the station crest stamped on the chest. The same combination he was wearing the first time he walked through these doors. Now, I wonder if it was on purpose. Colton bolts to the front with a few kids he just met. There are a few families here whom I don't recognize, and it's on my list to socialize. Dad, is the truck here? Colton asks. Jake nods and Colton takes the kids out to the parking lot. You're going to be the most popular kid in school, I say. He reaches for me and plants a kiss on my lips. He looks at the clock, then gives me a wicked grin. Hey, I think my son might have left something at the club. I raise an eyebrow. Did he? Jake's been on shift the past 2 days. Even though he got home this morning, I had to be here at the club, so he took a 2-hour nap and then drove over. I've more than missed him. I wondered if you had a lost and found. It's recently been cleared out. Whoever did that must have been a saint. His voice is low, and he smells like fresh laundry with just a hint of motor oil. I didn't realize this was my kryptonite, but since meeting Jake, I've discovered that it very much is. I guess I better take you back there so you can take a look. I turn, and Jake's hand brushes the back of my skirt as I lead him to the storage room. As soon as we're through the door, I flick on the light, and his hand finds the back of my neck. He presses me against the closest shelf and kisses me. We really have to stay here all day? I grip his waist. Don't tempt me. I could buy us lunch at that little Mediterranean place. Not fair. I groan and kiss him again, then jump as the door behind us swings open. Justin rolls in, whistling, pushing a cart of balls. It takes him a second, but then he sees us. Before he can open his mouth, I hiss, Out! This is Smash Point property, Rach. HR has been pretty clear. We don't have HR. I throw one of the cones we use on the court in his general direction, but he dodges. Justin takes his time pushing the ball cart into its place. I've been thinking about how to get my returns deeper. What do you think? Justin? I haven't seen him in 2 days, and it's only 15 minutes before we have to get this tournament going. Get out! He laughs and saunters toward the door. Just remember, I called it at the grocery store. He leans toward us and whispers, Tiny crush, my ass. We hope you enjoyed this production of The Hot Shot, Book 3 in the Smash Point Social Club series. Written and read for you by Cynthia Gunderson. Copyright 2026 button press.